that they may be a little bit better than most people think. I would not be surprised if they're around a 500 football team. And if they are a 500 football team, that means the NFC East deserves a little bit more credit coming into the 23 campaign.
The Chase Youngs of the world that did have those high expectations, and obviously that defense disappointed last season. It's like a contract year for those guys, right? Because there will be changes from top to bottom in Washington under this new ownership if things don't go well. Yes. So those guys, they have to come back. They have to prove themselves. There's a lot of motivation there for the Commanders this season. Coming up next, which first-year starter are you most excited to see in the preseason?
The Hoop Collective Podcast.
I'm at our ESPN LA studio.
On the Louis Bellina Show, presented by B&B Automotive and Superior Auto Service, I always get by with a little help from my friends. People like Olin Buchanan of TexAgs, Cedric Golden of the Austin American-Statesman, and every Friday, it's the pregame show. We go in the pit, thanks to Dixie Tire Company, with Bryce Jones. Join me, Louis Bellina, and my friends, weekdays 11 to 2, right here on the Zone 1150 AM and 93.7 FM.
1, 2.
I'm in love with a man named Rudy. I'm okay with that. He knows exactly what I want. He keeps me coming back. Cooks breakfast, lunch, and dinner for me. Does the dishes too. I'm in love with a man named Rudy. Last name Barbecue. It sure is easy to fall in love with Rudy's Tasty Oak Smoked Barbecue.
Next in line.
Water is all around us. Falling from the sky, bubbling up from the earth, running clear at the turn of a faucet. No wonder it's hard to imagine we're facing a water crisis. But we are. So that's why the American Planning Association brings you simple ways to save water at home and in your community. Learn more at planning.org. That's planning.org. Find out how native plants make a great garden with less watering, why a car wash that recycles water is the way to go, how community efforts can make the biggest difference of all. When you work with local planners, businesses, and elected officials, protecting water as a part of growth and development can be as natural as water itself. A public service message from this station and the American Planning Association.
As Americans, we celebrate all the things that make us different. So what is the thing that connects us? The thing that makes us Americans? It's simple. It's our shared belief that we are Americans. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. That belief that we each can be who we are and live the life we dream, in harmony with one another, in our system written in the words of the Constitution. Know your Constitution. It's who you are. It's who we are.
Unity. It's an American thing. From AmericanThing.org.
To find the complete list of prize contest rules for the Zone 1150 and 93.7 FM, visit Zone1150.com. This is KZNE College Station Bryan.
If I'm going to do this, I'll need my news team at my side.
News team, assemble!
Howdy, Aggie Land. Welcome to the SEC.
Our program will be built on 4 principles in which I talk about all the time: toughness, effort, discipline, and pride.
Dang it! I'm going to have to buy that boy cream cone.
Now I'm distracted on my point. What were we talking about?
It's bull crap. All I care about is winning. Show me the dang baby.
You do it till they do it right, and then you do it till they can't do it wrong.
Go get him. Why are you dancing around? Eat him like he's a steak.
He fits what TexAgs Radio is about. He fits into what the listeners are going to want. He's a pro on every level.
It's Nuño and the crew on TexAgs Radio. Right here on Sports Radio 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. The Zone.
Hey, records on my demo. Did y'all boys not get the memo? I do not stay at the
Obi, I don't even know how to explain the vibe in this office. Because, like, Nick's been pretty good, but you could tell he's on edge. Kevin is over here picking fights with everybody. You're John Travolta today, shirts open, ready to go. And Hannah's, our newest intern, is like soaking it all in. There's a little John Travolta vibe there. It's good. I like it. Good morning, buddy.
Good morning. Hey, let me get this out before I forget. Today's a special day.
Yeah.
Mrs. Buchanan, Irma, it's her birthday today.
Happy birthday, Irma.
She gets older. She never ages.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
That's the best type of wife to marry. Yeah. I like the ones that age.
Almost always listens to the show. Hopefully she's listening today, so happy birthday, honey.
Irma, happy birthday from your friend as well.
Now, moving on.
The name of the show is?
The Go Hour.
And that is presented by?
CC Creations, the
warehouse of CC Creations.
Yeah.
And the reason I wanted to start with that, OB, by the way, the actual name of the show is TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio. This is the Go Hour, presented by the warehouse of CC Creations.
That's the name?
Yeah, that's a long name.
That?
Yeah, it's like
that's what happens when you get a Latino in charge. Those long names.
Don't know how to respond to that. The reason I bring it up,
Latinos with really long names, like 5 names.
I don't see.
You've never
ethnic
seen
origin.
You've never seen.
I don't
that.
even recognize it.
Okay.
The reason I bring it up is you're wearing a spectacular shirt that you got where?
I got it here at TexAgs.
Oh, never mind. Well, I think they got it from.
I don't know where they got it.
The warehouse at CC Creations.
I assume they did.
You know how I know that?
How?
I was there yesterday where I got this.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Because you got an in, right? Because you got people that work there.
Well, I got my sons that are there. They didn't give me the discount though.
It's
all right. So go to CC Creations, the warehouse of CC Creations, and check out the TexAgs gear. They're our partner.
I like that. I like that shirt.
It's kind of got your Letterman vibe / shirt. Fits
Yeah.
good. You've got the fisherman shirt.
Yeah.
Ready to go. Saturday Night Fever. It's
Saturday
on.
Night Fever, huh?
The shirt is open. There's a lot of chest hair involved in this.
First of all, there's not any chest hair. But if there was, I can't help it if all that masculinity cannot be contained.
Shall we start the actual football part of the show, OB?
Yeah, let's do.
So a couple times over the last month, we have brought up some Connor O'Gara articles, and I'm only going to bring up today's comment about A&M to jump us off to our A&M part of the program, all right?
Okay.
He is predicting A&M will have a top 4 SEC offense.
Okay.
I like that, the sound of it. I think
Yeah.
it's certainly possible with the personnel that they have. He says, I believe this group is schematic tweak from being one of the best in the conference. I believe Connor Wegman, after the promise she showed down the stretch, especially against LSU when they ran more pre-snap motion and tempo, goes on to talk about the rest of the talent. So I say all that first to say we agree. We agree, 1,000%. Then I'm going to frame a question for you. Because I was thinking about this last night.
Okay.
I have more defensive questions than I have about offense, even though the offense is the biggest question for most. Okay. What are your 3 biggest questions about A&M this year, and if you want to participate on the text line or call us up, you can, about Texas A&M. What are your actual questions about this team? And when I say that, we all have a bunch of questions about many things, but from them being a 10-win team, double-digit win team, what are your 3 biggest questions about A&M? Text us on the text line, 979-693-1150. OB, do you have what would be your first question?
Will the offensive line be improved enough for A&M to have a top 4 offense?
Okay. By the way, I'm going to let you do all yours, but you've already started at the exact place I started.
Yeah, I think we all. And then number 2 is the run defense going to be significantly better.
Did you get my show notes?
No, but this is. Yeah. And then number 3, I'd say, are you going to be able to mount a pass rush, a respectable pass rush? Because last year's pass rush was pop gun.
So mine is not exactly like yours, but very similar. I don't have a lot of questions about the offense if they can block, right? If they block, I think the offense is going to score 30-plus points a game. That's really how I feel.
Okay.
So that was my first question. Can they block? The second question was, can they stop the run?
Okay.
And again, I think I've harped on it. We all have, because we understand the way football is played. This is not breaking news here. But if they can't block and they can't stop the run, they ain't winning games. So can they stop the run? Then I didn't go to force sacks in this one. I said, can they force turnovers? Because I don't believe they had very many last year, OB.
4 interceptions.
Can they force turnovers, which to me means you're getting to the quarterback?
They had a guy in their history, I'd have to look this up, I think might have had 4 interceptions in a game. And I may be wrong on that, but I thought that's like a school record. It's like 4 interceptions in a game. Brad Marquardt, help me out.
He's in the Bahamas.
Yeah, he's not going to help me out. But I think that. I wish I had the media guide, an old media guide to look through. But think about 4 for an entire season. Now, to me, that goes back to pass rush. I don't know if you saw this. I did an article this week with Kevin Smith.
I didn't see it.
Who had 20 interceptions.
I remember you talked to him the other night, yeah.
And Kevin said, you show me 4 guys who cannot rush the passer, and I'll show you 4 guys that can't cover the receivers.
Mm-hmm. So really, in essence, you're right. I'm wrong.
No, I didn't say that.
But
we just have the same kind of thought. We just approach it differently.
Approach it from different angles. So, literally the same. I do think, regardless of the change in offensive coordinator, I think the change in offensive coordinator and change in hopefully offensive identity is going to create a better offense. And in fact, at 9 o'clock, I'm going to kind of go through some of the teams in the SEC. Who's going to have a better offense? Who's going to have a worse offense, right? Because there are some teams that are going to have a worse offense that we may not be looking at. But for A&M purposes right now, I think the offense, I have way more questions defensively. I know the defense was good last year at not giving up a lot of points, but part of that may have been the way the games were played. They need to stop the run. They need to get to the quarterback.
And they know that. And here's the thing about all the 3 major questions we just brought up. You can say, is Connor Wigman going to take the next step? But of the 3 major questions, and maybe that's a major one, but the ones we mentioned, you feel like you have good reasons to believe you can get a positive answer to those questions. Now, you may not, but you have valid reasons to think that you're going to be better in the offensive line, that you're going to be better in run defense, and you're going to be better in a pass rush. You can come up with, which typically means forcing more turnovers. And there are valid reasons, not just pie in the sky. I hope there's reasons you can say, this is why. And in some cases, you can have, like the offensive line, you can have multiple reasons. So, hopefully all those things will come to pass, and A&M will have a great positive response to all 3 of those questions.
If they answer those 3 questions, knowing what you know about that team, are they a double-digit win team?
Yes.
They answer those 3 questions?
Yes.
I agree.
Well, without a doubt. Again, we talked about it last year with all the ridiculousness that went on, with all the injuries, the illness, the attitude, just the poor play, everything. Give me 1 more touchdown a game and you're 10-2.
Or Give up one less touchdown a game.
Well, it's hard to put that on the defense, right?
Right.
But with the as bad as your run defense
but
was,
hold on, OB, if they didn't give up the rushing yards that they did, giving up one less touchdown or one less field goal game was certainly possible.
Yeah, it was. So but that's how close you were to being 10-2. Now
it didn't feel like you were that close.
It was. Well, you sit there and you watch the game against Auburn, and you're thinking, how are you losing this game? You watch Appalachian State. How are you losing this game?
How are they in the game was more what I was thinking, because I always thought they're going to make the game-winning play.
You watch South Carolina and you think, do you just not want to play? Because remember the opening kickoff, the guys is returning the kickoff on up A&M sideline, and if you'll go back around the 35 of South Carolina, there's probably 6 A&M guys in kind of a semicircle around them within like a 5 to 10 yard radius, and nobody wanted to make the tackle. They were looking for somebody else to make it. And then there's the quick snap that sets them up for a touchdown. There's a bad throw that sets them up, and you're down 17-0, and you're thinking, do these guys even want to win? And then they almost got back and almost pulled it out. So, there's 3 games right there that could have been easily won. Ole Miss, for that matter. It's a frustrating thing.
It is frustrating.
So
simplify it by doing the basics of football.
Just get better, a little bit better. In some cases, a lot better, maybe, but a little make improvement in those areas and 10-2 at least.
Let me give you some reasons why I believe
a 10.
Let me give you some reasons why I believe these things are possible and not just hope. Right? Can they block? Well, we saw a little more evidence of that at the end of the season last year. Right? A little more evidence.
A lot more. I saw Devon Achane run for 200 yards.
So we saw that it's possible. A. B. Bryce Foster coming back. Is that a big deal?
That's a huge deal.
Okay. The 2 guys that we have been kind of critical of, did they lose weight to get a little more spring in their step?
They did. We're talking about Layden Robinson and Reuben Fothery. They both acknowledged that they didn't play up to their standards, and they put that personal accountability on themselves to get better.
Yep. Okay. So I've given you a bunch of reasons there. Plus, you have to expect that young players get better with experience.
I'm looking for
that's
Cam
a reasonable
to be
expectation.
even better than he was last year.
Okay. So that's one.
And hey, and by the way, they're in their second year under their offensive line coach. The last time we had a different offensive line coach, they were much better in their second year than was the first.
So a reasonable expectation of everything we said.
A whole lot of things.
Can they stop the run? Did Walter Nolan lose a little weight? And
he's
got
lost
a little
30
bit of
pounds.
a pack? Yeah, okay. McKinley Jackson healthy right now?
He's healthy.
Fidel Diggs, is he healthy?
He's healthy.
Okay. Shamar Turner, Shamar Stewart, guys that we've been I can keep going. Gabriel Brownlow, Dindy healthy. Like, brrrr.
And they're more experienced.
Okay.
And stronger.
Reasonable to expect for them to be better, which goes into the turnovers and getting to the quarterback. All that is the same. So it's not like we're taking this huge leap. Like, I hope they're better just because I hope.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You have valid reasons. Now, are those going to come to pass? We have to wait and see. But coming into it, it's like I'm playing poker, and I've got Big Slick, and they just dropped an ace on the flop, and I'm thinking, doesn't mean I'm going to win, but I kind of like the hand I'm holding.
And one that I told you that I didn't have as many questions about the offense. You could say the same thing about the offense because they looked internally, they've made some changes, they brought in a bright mind. For all those reasons alone, the offense should be better.
I think the offense is going to be significantly better, but they have to prove it. I thought they would have made a bowl game. At least they would have won a couple more games. If they would have made the move to take. I'm not even saying. I'm saying if you would have put Max in at halftime of that Appalachian State debacle, you would have won.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at some point you have to look out there and say, "This guy's not getting it done. I need to bring somebody else in."
Yep.
And they did it. They waited too long, and they waited till the next game. So, I liked Haynes King. I want Haynes King to be successful. He's a Longview guy. That's where I started my career. Lobo. I love the Beast Texas guys. But I think maybe one of the best things that A&M has going for him is that Haynes is not an option. I think Jimbo really loved Haynes and his competitiveness, his spirit, his toughness. But Haynes was not very good.
Yeah. But for this year,
I love Connor.
I love
like
the room.
Max.
And I'm telling you, the report's out, and the look of Marcel Reed is good. Jalen Henderson's got experience. Like you're not in the SEC. Quarterbacks get hurt, right?
They tend to.
And unfortunately, A&M has been hit hard 2 years in a row.
It's true. It's true. And hopefully, this is the year that ends.
Hopefully so. Let's check in with people. Let's say hello to Nick Savage behind the glass. Nick, good morning, sir.
Howdy, good morning, y'all.
How are you, buddy?
I'm all right. I'm having a good morning. How about you?
You know what? I'm actually having a really nice morning. Thank you for asking,
Good.
buddy.
I'm glad to hear that. Have you gotten a chance to listen to your boy Ryan Bingham's new album yet?
I have not. You know who Ryan Bingham is?
He's a singer.
He's a poet. He's a singer. He's the guy. Why are you laughing? He's got a song about being a poet.
It's called The Poet.
Yeah, it's called The Poet. See, I'm a part of the country community. I go to the meetings.
I wonder if he hangs out at that pool hall over across town. And there one called Poets. It's a pool
Yeah,
hall.
you're on it, OB.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, I haven't been to a pool hall since, I was going to say ever, but no, I went to one. Beta Theta Pi had a meeting at a pool hall here in 1995. Bam, last time.
I have been at one more recently than that. Yes.
It's a smart man sport, and I'm not a part of Team Smart.
Smart man sport?
Yeah, I feel like you have to be smart to play pool, no?
I know some dumbasses that play pool.
That sounds like something that's going to be on social media soon. What else is going on, Nick?
Oh, well, I got some questions. I don't know if they're the biggest questions, but I got 3 more questions for you for Aggie football. If you
Let's
want
go.
to ponder
Vamos.
on them for a second. But will the offense be wide open, or is it going to be more of the same from last year? That's one I have. How will the Aggies fare against the Mississippi schools come late November?
I like that question.
And this one, obviously, we don't know until we start playing football, but can they actually stay healthy this year? And obviously, no fault of their own last year, but if they can stay healthy, I think that's a big deal for the Aggies.
Let's go through those 3 questions. What was the first one?
First one was, will the offense be wide open, or will it be more of the same from last year?
I think it's going to be in the middle.
Yes, I think that window's not going to be pulled all the way to the top, but I think it's going to, you can pull it back.
It's not Josh Heupel. It's going to be more Kentucky-ish from a couple years ago. Establish the run and then air it out when you need to and get your guys in space.
No, I think they're going to throw more than they've thrown last year because you have Petrino, feed the studs. Where are your studs?
FTS, baby.
Where are the studs? Studs are at receiver. Feed them.
Yep, I agree. What was the other question about the Mississippi schools?
Next one was, how will they fare against the Mississippi schools? And reminder, they play at Ole Miss November 4th, Mississippi State here in College Station on November 11th. That's back-to-back games.
You want to be a 9-10 win team, you have to win those 2.
I'm just incredulous that A&M doesn't dominate the Mississippi schools. I'm incredulous. Have you ever been to Mississippi?
Yeah, with you.
Yeah. And how is A&M not just consistently a better program? That not that they don't have good players and things like that, but I'm just saying A&M has so much more advantages.
It's embarrassing.
And yet you can't consistently beat the Mississippi schools.
When they first entered the SEC, my thought was, all right, they'll just sweep them every time. That's what I thought.
Well, they were somewhat poor then, and those Mississippi schools got better.
They've gotten better.
But still, you should not have to beat the Mississippi schools because they aren't good. They can be good, and you should still beat them.
You should still beat them. What's the third question, Nick?
Last one, I mean, there's not really an answer to this, but will they be able to stay healthy this year?
Can't answer that. You're right.
Play the law of averages.
Yeah. Well, you know what the beauty is? We believe the depth and the talent is there. How many deep are they at defensive line? I feel like we feel much better. I feel like we feel much better about the offensive line depth as well. Like you got 3 running backs that I think you believe in, and we'll see who the starter ends up being if there is a starter per se. I think we're pretty deep at wide receiver. I mean, so injuries can happen. They are part of the game. I think you're in a better position than you were a year ago.
Yeah, injuries can happen. It's like an illness. Sometimes you're going to get the flu, right?
Yeah.
But last year was kind of a pandemic. We had so many injuries. That doesn't always happen.
No.
So, yeah, if you get 1 or 2 or 3 here, yeah, you adjust and move on. But, man, when you're up to, I think it was 34 players missed multiple games with injuries last year.
Yeah.
Then you just say, okay, what's next?
Let's check in with Kennedy Cabot at the News and Social Center. Hello, Kennedy.
Hey.
Hey.
Y'all are so passionate this morning about Aggie football.
Hey, you know what I noticed about
I'm passionate about Aggie football 365 days a year.
Okay. Okay.
You know what I noticed you're passionate about?
What am I passionate about, David?
Teaching in the middle of a segment. I'm hearing you talk to
Okay.
Hannah, but like this.
Yeah, here, come here. This is Hannah.
Hard-hearted Hannah.
And I was just kind of taking her through the ropes. You know, me being the most
seasoned.
Yeah, I'm the one that needs to do this.
What's going on in your world, Miss Social? Oh, I got some news that's about to come down about the Social Center.
Really?
Do you want to hear about it?
Do tell.
Okay.
We're
I'm
dissolving
scared.
the position. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, okay.
The Angry Elephant is about to start being our sponsor for the Social Center.
That's awesome.
Isn't that great?
Does that mean we get to
I
eat
like the
hot
Angry
dogs
Elephant.
here?
I did too. Yeah.
Yeah. Great wings over there.
Yeah. Believe it or not, we had a meeting there. I might have had the salad. It was great salad, but I made the wrong play.
David,
I made the wrong play.
You went there and
I know
had
you
a
don't eat hot
salad?
Yeah,
Be serious.
I did, but I know the wings are great.
What is wrong?
Because I was a loser that day. I admit it.
And
you didn't
that's
have a
okay.
cold snack, David?
Pardon?
A cold snack.
Is there a joke here? I don't understand.
A beer. That's what it's
a cold
nickname
snack.
for a beer. Goodness gracious.
Oh, I thought you were going to ask him if he
Nick,
had,
we're
like,
dealing
some-
with some
celery or something.
unseasoned
I'm sorry
veterans.
that you're dealing with a very disciplined human being, Nick. I'm sorry that somebody that doesn't partake in your drunken
Sorry,
revelry.
Jocko.
4:47. I should have posted
hey,
a picture of my workout.
Hey,
Yes.
you did post a picture of your workout.
Not at
That's what I was about to
4:47?
say.
What?
Since David hasn't done it yet, I'll make the announcement for him because he loves to talk about his kickboxing classes. David did go work out this morning, and he did look me in the eye and tell me that he has done more today than most humans will do the entire day.
Sounds like the Army.
I mean,
we do more before 9 a.m. than you do all day.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I've
And
done
I'm
more than
gl-
most people listening right now.
David,
For
I'm
fact.
glad that that's your reality. That's just not realistic for me. I love to sleep. So
All right,
that's
go to
what
bed
I'm
earlier.
going to do.
Go to bed earlier.
No
Simple.
thanks.
Just like be a winner in life.
I am a winner.
What if
Just in a
somebody
different
other
way than
partakes
you.
of different kinds of morning activity?
There's some other activities I like in the morning.
Okay.
Like drinking coffee. I
Or
love
swimming.
a cold. Swimming is good too. I love swimming.
So, if someone out and did a few laps in the pool,
That'd be
would
great.
Would you say that you did more than they did?
Depends. I'm just saying most people
You would
didn't
what?
do it. Huh?
No, I'm sorry, my bad.
Can I say?
Can we
I
get to a
answer,
commercial?
Can I
This is so
answer someone
awkward.
in the YouTube chat really fast?
Yes.
They asked David, where can we get a shirt like yours at CC Creations on
There.
Southwest Parkway?
It is, yeah, and Welburn right there on the corner.
Yes.
That's a nice
That's
shirt.
where they're at.
Tell them David Nuño sent you by. They'll be like, who?
David
But if you
Nuño.
want to
Again?
look that good in it, you have to get up.
You have to
at
6
4:47
a.m.
in the
Go to
morning
your
and go do
kickboxing
kickboxing.
classes.
In fact,
You know,
if you
the
guys want to
whole
go to
nine.
jiu-jitsu with me in the afternoon, you're more than
That's
welcome
okay. You can do that on your own.
to. Okay. This segment has been an hour long. Can we hit a break, please? The only thing that can save this segment is some food from our Fargos. Say it again.
Fargos.
Say it in a Spanish accent.
Fargos.
I don't know if that was Spanish.
Fargos. I got to roll the R.
That's just you.
That's just the way I roll.
Thickening up your
God, you
words.
think that way I roll? Fargos.
That's not an accent.
But-
You're just
but you know
rolling
what?
your R's.
Well, that's what. Yes, I'm rolling my R's. Yes.
Can you
And
say
know
it
what?
in an accent, one of the top 50 barbecue joints in the world?
And what accent do you want?
You just pick one because they're weird.
I do the East Texas accent. Hey, it's one of the top 50 barbecue places in the freaking world.
Which means the universe.
With the universe, I mean, all it needs to be is one of the top 50 in Texas. Because if you're one of the top 50 in Texas barbecue, then you are one of the top 50 in the world. And by the way, it is one of the top. But you don't have to just get barbecue there because today is Friday, and some people on Friday, they eat fish. So you can go to Fargo's today and get the 4 C's. You can get some catfish, some coleslaw, some corn, and some crunchy hush puppies.
Yes, you can. And then tomorrow, if you're into beef ribs, which I think
Oh.
you are, you can get them there.
And you know what else you can get tomorrow?
Pork rib tips.
Rib tips. I'm getting out of East Texas mode now.
Yeah.
Rib tips.
They've been a part of this community for a long, long time. 1701 South Texas Avenue in Bryan, without a doubt.
The best barbecue in the world.
That's their trademark because
It's true.
It's
Fargo's. Fargo's.
I'm Sean Burnett with your Aggie Sports Minute on The Zone. This update is brought to you by Hilco Metal Roofing and Supply. Call 936-825-0500 or click hillcosupply.com. More Aggie football players have earned spots on preseason watch lists. Damani Richardson was named to the Jim Thorpe watch list, given to the best defensive back in college football. Edgerrin Cooper was selected to the Butkus watch list, recognizing the top linebacker in the nation. Quarterback Connor Wigman fielded plenty of questions on the offense earlier this week. He said the game plan is to get the ball to his playmakers at wide receiver.
That's the plan for sure. I mean, give them the ball and let them go make plays. That's that simple. I mean, so I was trying to tell Evan the other day, I mean, just throw a hitch and let him go 60 yards. I mean, that's the best feeling as a quarterback.
As a freshman in 5 games, he threw 8 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. He was also asked about his decision to come play at Texas A&M.
I grew up a college football fan. I mean, I didn't really have a specific school, but what got me here was, I mean, they treated me like family, just the whole coaching staff. I mean, everyone in College Station. I mean, it was a different feel than wherever else I was visiting and what other schools I was talking to. And I sat down with my dad, and he just told me, this isn't a 4-year decision, it's a 40-year decision. And just be able to get into the Aggie network and to go and get my degree and get my Aggie ring, I mean, I feel like that's going to be a huge thing, especially living in the state of Texas.
The season kicks off September 2nd against New Mexico at Kyle Field. And that's your Aggie Sports Minute, brought to you by Hilco Metal Roofing and Supply. On The Zone, I'm Sean Burnett.
At ASCO, we're on it, and Case IH Farmall tractors are on it too. For over 8 decades, America's farmers have counted on the little red tractor from Case IH, the Farmall, to help them make short work of their demanding chores. With horsepower ranging from 30 to 105, plus an army of attachments, you can tackle every chore on your to-do list, from hauling and mowing to loading and baling, and then some. Visit ASCO Equipment in Bryan to find a Case IH Farmall that's right for you. At ASCO, we're on it.
Are you feeling run down, sluggish, having difficulty losing weight? You could have low testosterone. It's common. In fact, about 40% of men have low T after age 40. Apex Health in College Station is here to restore your energy, sharpen your focus, and boost your performance. Women can also benefit from testosterone replacement therapy. For a limited time at Apex Health, get your T-test for just $35. Get your edge back with a personalized health plan from Apex Health. Schedule your free consultation today at apexhealthclinic.com.
You can hear Houston Astros baseball all season, all postseason long on The Zone, 1150 AM and 93.7 FM, and select games on Gospel, 97.3 FM. Astros baseball brought to you by Kelly Burt Dozer. All season long, Houston Astros baseball on The Zone and select games on Gospel, 97.3 FM. Astros baseball brought to you by Kelly Burt Dozer.
Is this a bingo?
This is off his new album.
I can tell.
It's a little different sound.
I like it.
From what he's used usually puts out.
Take a listen.
I'm listening.
Hopefully we get to some words. Just let it go for a minute. TexAgs Radio. Presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Rollo Insurance Studio. Go Hour presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. He's Olin Buchanan. I am David Nuño. And it is now time for a little 23 in 23, which is brought to you by The Charge Apparel. Aggie owned and operated premier polos and tees made in the USA. 12% of total sales are donated to organizations supporting veterans and mental health initiatives. Visit them at thechargeapparel.com or find them on Instagram at The Charge Apparel or Twitter, The Charge Brand. Number 11, OB. We're so close to the top 10. Number 11, Shamar Turner.
Yeah, I think Shamar Turner is one of those guys that we're still basing it on potential, even though we've seen some production. But again, it's been the flashes. I think last year he had about 30 tackles, which once again is not a bad total for an interior lineman. He can play outside.
He can play outside as well.
He can play outside. You think he does. But it's not a bad total for a lineman, especially a lineman that, or especially at A&M where they bring in a whole bunch of. There's a picture of him playing, or a video of him playing on the end. And then there's one of him playing inside. So, see, he has that kind of ability to play inside or outside. 300-pound guy, 6'4", good
6'4", 300, yeah.
I think he's just one of those guys that that you're hoping this is the year that he goes from being a really good player to being just a breakout guy. I'm not saying he's going to be Quinnen Williams from Alabama. That would be unfair. But he was a guy that you didn't even know about one year before he just came out, and he went from being a player to being a star.
He's
and
one of
I wonder
those.
if Shamar Turner can't be that kind of guy.
He's one of those that I think will be in the top 10 here in about 6 weeks. When we're into the season, he will be in that top 10. And you said it a moment ago, part of the reason people are so excited about him is how multiple he is. You can put him on so many different positions on the line, and he can create havoc in that way. Started all 11 games he played in last year. I'd like to see those sack numbers go up considerably. But when Billy's on, I'm sure he's going to attest to this. He's one of those guys that I think we're all very hopeful to see him emerge as a guy, like a dog on that defense.
Yeah, I think he's good, and we want to see him get better, and I think he will. I really do. He flashes star potential. You see it, and man, that guy, look at that play.
Yeah.
You want to get to where you see it just more frequently. And I think you will. The more experience you get, the better you get.
Yeah, you absolutely do. Look,
I like him as an interior guy, though.
Where do you think he needs to improve in 2023?
Just consistency.
Yeah.
That's all.
I feel like that's been the theme for a lot of these guys. Just be consistent.
But that's not surprising because so many of them were first and second year players last year. Now you start getting a junior year, you start thinking about it's not that long for I'm going to be pursuing an NFL career and things like that. I've got all this knowledge now. I know more how to play, and I start showing it. And I think there's not including Georgia, I don't think there's a program in the country that wouldn't take Shamar Turner in a second, probably starting. And I just want to see Shamar Turner come out and play like we all know he can. Just do it consistently.
All right, when we come back, Alabama had a speaker this week. Pretty big name. I'll talk about that. A&M had a name apparently yesterday or this week that's a pretty big name. Who do you think would be a big speaker? What would be an appropriate speaker for A&M football? Let's throw around some names about that. If you want to be a part of that conversation, you can do that at 979-693-1150. You can call us or text us on that number. Let's talk Milliken Reserve right now, a farm-to-table community in College Station. Homes, trails, farms, wide open spaces with a mission to build a healthy community around nature. They're dedicated to the conservation of a healthy community. Respect for that native landscape and wildlife. 2,600 acres of open space, farms, 30 miles of trails, and homes. They connect families to nature and to each other. It's a beautiful place to just go hang out. Like you live somewhere else in College Station, Brian, wherever in the area, Navasota, you want to go to Milliken Reserve and just hang out, do the hiking, the biking, the canoeing, all the cool stuff, the activities, you can do that. You can also buy a house out there, and know this, homeowners at Milliken Reserve share a legacy of conservation, which means generation after generation, you come back to that awesome countryside place. It's an enduring resource and a place to come together to relax and reflect, explore, and discover. It is Milliken Reserve. Check out the website, millikenreserve.com. That website again, millikenreserve.com.
David and OB.
Not getting killed, he's getting mad.
David and OB on TexAgs Radio.
Now blast this guy's teeth out.
From WTAW, I'm Chelsea Reber with a news update on The Zone. The College Station City Council proposes a property tax rate decrease of 1 cent for the next fiscal year. Last night's unanimous vote proposes a rate that goes as high as possible without requiring an election. Due to new valuation and increased valuation in existing properties, that will generate an additional $10 million. The public hearing on College Station's proposed property tax rate was set for August 24th. The College Station City Council approves the purchase of land for a 7th fire station. It will be the 6th station east of the railroad tracks along Welburn Road. Fire Chief Richard Mann says there is 1 station west of the tracks and 2 more stations that can respond without being stopped by trains.
Station 2 on Rio Grande can take 2818 across the tracks, and Station 6 on University can take University and cross the tracks even if there were a train that was stopped on the tracks.
The council voted unanimously to spend $784,000 for 4 acres of land along Greens Prairie Road across the street from the Dalton Drive entrance into the Castlegate 2 neighborhood. College Station police responded last night to a crash involving a bicyclist. CSPD social media reported the collision closed the intersection of Munson and University Oaks. A 23-year-old bicyclist was taken to the hospital with serious injuries. The Bryan Fire Department's request for 2 new vehicles was approved at this week's City Council meeting. An SUV with 90,000 miles is being replaced with a new model for BFD's Community Paramedic Program. The council also approved buying a truck that will be used by BFD's Training Division, Rescue Response, and Wildland Fire Response. The first campaign announcements have come since John Rainey's decision to not seek re-election to the Texas House District that includes most of Brazos County. 3 Republicans who have declared their intent to file include local businessman Larry Hodges, former Representative Fred Brown, and retired Brazos County Sheriff Chris Kirk. For more news, go to WTAW.com. I'm Chelsea Reber on The Zone.
You can hear Fighting Texas Aggie football right here on the Zone 1150 AM and 93.7 FM, or online at radioaggieland.com, or you could tell Alexa, play Zone 1150. You know, I know, Aggie football is more than just the game. It's the tailgate, it's grilling with neighbors and friends, it's sitting on the couch with your son, daughter, teaching them the traditions and getting them ready for their time at Texas A&M. Here on The Zone, it's more than just the game, too. We got the Zone Game Day show. It's thanks to TexAgs. It starts 3 hours before every Texas A&M game. We also have the Zone Call-In show, and it starts 30 minutes after every Aggie football home game. Spend your game day here on the Zone, 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. You can listen online at radioaggieland.com, and you can tell Alexa, play Zone 1150.
And we're back, TexAgs Radio. Presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. David Nuño, Olin Buchanan with you this morning. A little bit later on in the show, Braden Gall is going to join us. We'll also have Billy Lucci for the 10 o'clock hour. Looking forward to chatting away with both of those guys. All right, so first off, let's go to the News and Social Center. Kennedy Cavan, I understand that Math 142 was the thing recently. How did it go?
Oh, goodness. Yeah, Math 142 was everything recently, and I just finished and passed. Woo-hoo.
Okay, I think I took Math 142. That sounds familiar. Which one's that one?
It's business calculus, but I think to graduate from A&M, you have to take you can choose, but I think most people take Math 142.
Okay.
Or 1325 if you're a blend book.
Oh, well, and your mom is the one who mentioned it, I believe. So congratulations.
My mom was?
Somebody on the chat with a Cavan name.
Where?
Okay, never mind.
I didn't see it.
No, it was on the TexAgs chat.
I'll find it.
It says C. Kevin.
Oh, that's my dad.
Okay, your dad. Hello, Mr.
Hey,
Kevin.
Dad.
How are you, sir? Greetings. All right, OB, so I mentioned it a moment ago, and I'm going to open this up to the text line. Who are some people that you'd like to see, like to hear about speaking to the A&M football program? Every year, right around this time, there's a bunch of speakers. So Pete Rose spoke with Alabama recently, and I'm sure he touched on some of the gambling issues that he had and some of the pitfalls, but also his hard work. Charlie Hustle, hello, like that. I mean, that guy, from the way you're supposed to attack the sport, is the poster child of like what you want to see, like intensity-wise, right? Mm-hmm. I heard that Takeo Spikes this week was in town. I was listening to SEC this morning, and they mentioned that he was supposed to be coming to A&M and talking to them. So that was good to hear. Who are some other names of people you would like to hear, like that would make appropriate speakers for a team embarking on a football season?
I tend to think of other Aggie, talking to the Aggies, mm-hmm. and I think when you think of his story, I don't know that you could ever find somebody who would be a greater example of overcoming odds and attaining greatness, not just good, but greatness, than Mike Evans.
Okay, yeah.
I think Mike Evans has an amazing story. I think Ryan Swope would have an amazing story.
Swope, yeah.
I think of guys that again faced odds,
and both guys like not that far removed. That some of these
they played together,
right? Yeah. But and Swope was all over the doc. That we watched on Wednesday, the Johnny Manziel doc. But what I was going to say is guys that aren't that far removed that it's possible these players may have seen them play.
Yeah, well, I would like Mike Evans, first of all, comes to mind because, again, I've always I saw a guy that came here and was obviously good, but that wasn't good enough for him, and he worked hard at it. He was a 3-star guy. Had played like maybe 1 year of high school and, got a scholarship and had the red shirt, and he's probably on his way to the NFL, the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He's got like 8 or 9, 7, 8, whatever, consecutive seasons of 1,000 yards receiving, and all the things that he is as tough as nails. You don't want to mess with, just everything about. Remember the block he had on Terrence Newman?
Oh yeah,
where he just, he's an outstanding example of what can happen as an individual and a team, as long as you are driven and focused. If you get up every day with a purpose, whether it be working on your craft, whether it be, lifting weights, just getting in the right frame of mind, kickboxing, whatever it is.
Right.
Mike Evans, if everybody approached what they had to do like Mike Evans with the same intensity, they would never have a bad year.
What about outside of A&M? Like celebrities, like is Tiger Woods one? Is Dana White one? Is there an actor? Not Matthew McConaughey, for his ties elsewhere. Well, I'm trying, but I mean, he's still a good speaker. But like, who are some people out there, celebrities that would make good?
Clint Eastwood,
of course.
I mean, he's still getting it done. He's 93 years old. So it just goes. It's not about how old you are.
Mick Jagger,
and then he could sing to him as well. But it's not about your age. It's about how you approach things.
Mm-hmm.
I would contend that Clint Eastwood has been greater as a director than he is as a.
You could say that absolutely.
As an actor.
Yeah. You could absolutely.
I mean, does he make a bad movie?
Even The Mule was good.
The Mule I thought was excellent.
Yeah.
And
he was 100 in it. Okay, he was like 92, whatever.
And how about one of my favorite, Gran Torino? Great.
Gran Torino was really good.
He makes great movies. And
let me. I'm sorry for the old guys out there. Not all old guys make good movies anymore.
It's true.
And he makes great movies.
But I think he started in some menial job in show business, and look what he became, because he was focused and he was driven. And if you're going to be, everybody who's at A&M, whether you're playing sports or whether you're in the engineering department, you have visions of grandeur, and he's a guy that could tell you this is the approach you have to make it happen.
Yep. No, I agree. I assume he maybe already has, but Marcus Luttrell would be a pretty good one.
I don't know him.
The Lone Survivor. I think he'd be.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he'd be a really good one. Nick, do you have anybody for us to consider as a speaker for A&M?
Well,
obviously not.
I'm sorry, he's
Nick,
probably doing something else.
He's not speaking.
Let's go to Kennedy Cavan at the news.
What was the question? I'm sorry, I'm working
Nick,
back
your
here.
time is up.
Okay, go ahead, Kennedy.
Thank you. He's probably working on something else. He's busy.
Sorry, Nick. I didn't mean to be rude.
Maybe Kennedy should speak to him.
Cavs.
Hey.
I know we got some text messages.
We do have a lot of text messages. Can I give my answer?
Yeah, please.
I think Olin Buchanan.
Oh, no.
I said what I said.
Well, that's very sweet of you. Thank you.
I stand by that.
What would your speech be about?
What he does in the morning.
Hey, you have a story, buddy. Not only a heritage film that's coming in a minute, but you do have a story.
Well, you can come from even the most modest beginnings and find something that you want to do and
do it at a high level,
as best you can, and that it's find out what motivates you.
Mm-hmm.
If it's money that motivates you, then find a way to chase that money. If it's enjoying your career, find a way, just find out what it is, and then doing whatever it takes to be successful. And then if you if you face some obstacles like getting laid off because your company's stock price went below $10 and sure, I guess, losing my salary is going to make all the difference in the world, then, you find a way to overcome that too.
And come to an even happier place and a better place.
A better place.
Yep. Kenny, did you have another real one or no?
Me? Like my personal opinion?
Yeah.
No.
But that was the nicest thing
that was
Kennedy
nice.
Cavan's ever said to me.
But you could have said Taylor Swift there. But
and I could have, but I refrained.
You did.
I refrained because I know what audience I'm talking to.
I've been brought up to speed, David, so I know what you asked me. I have an answer.
Okay.
I don't know if you, pardon me if you said this already, Jocko Willink. And
that's
not a joke. I'm dead serious.
I haven't said his name because people would roll their eyes if I said it.
Who is that?
I think that would be an awesome one.
Can somebody catch me up to speed?
Are you serious? You don't know who Jocko Willink is?
Discipline equals freedom,
Thank
Kennedy.
You. One of the best books.
That's not telling me.
He's a Navy SEAL.
Okay.
And a jiu-jitsu, black belt probably?
Oh.
Double black belt.
Oh, so he does kickboxing too?
He does everything.
Okay.
Kickboxing, slapboxing.
If you go to his Instagram page, I guarantee you he has posted today at 4:44 his workout. That's a fact.
Okay.
I would say Drew Brees, but considering the way the history of A&M and their history with Drew, that I don't know if he'd accept the invitation.
I'm trying to think who else I would like. I mean, Jocko was a great one, Nick. I'd like to say David Goggins, but I think Dana White, other than he got in trouble, I think this year, but I think the way he attacks business, the way he attacks, he's just a brilliant marketer. He really is. I think, and I think he's a dynamic speaker as well. So there's some good ones. You had some text on that topic, though.
Oh, I have a lot of text messages. So Matt in San Antonio said Inky Johnson would be a great speaker.
Inky, that'd be a good one, yeah.
We have a couple Dat and Wins coming in.
Yeah, great.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah. This one's interesting. Elon Musk. Okay.
I like listening to Elon.
I'm a huge fan of Elon Musk. He spends a lot of time in Texas, so he could make the stop.
That's what the texter said. I think it was David Edmond. He said he
David Edmond with a good text. How about that?
There we go. Dan, class of 76, said Michael Durant.
Sorry?
Michael Durant, who was the center of Black Hawk Down, has an amazing story.
Oh, okay.
And is an amazing speaker, apparently.
Yep.
Scott in Henley. Maybe. Rodney Dangerfield.
He's dead.
Yeah, he's.
Okay.
Do you know who that is?
No, I like half of these names. I don't.
Okay, Cavs. I'm not doing this as a joke. I'm being very honest.
Okay.
There's a movie called Back to School.
Okay.
Do you think she'd like that movie?
I don't know how anybody can't like that movie.
What is it about?
Imagine a scenario.
Going back to school.
Olin Buchanan goes to LSU and joins Quinn, but Olin's loaded and ruins Quinn's college life. But Olin's there partying with a.
I could see myself.
Oh,
with
so
bubbles
you're
in
like
the hot
going
tub.
back to college.
Yes, but
hey, that's what I call marine biology.
How old do you think Rodney was in that movie?
Probably 60-ish.
Yeah,
probably my age.
But he looked a lot older than you do, my friend.
Rodney
Olin
was a
has
big drug
aged
user,
gracefully.
and I've done what recently?
You've aged gracefully.
Oh, well, thank you.
What else do we have?
We had two people say Dan Campbell.
Dan Campbell, yes,
yes.
That's like one of the top 5 for sure.
Chuck Norris
lives close by.
Have we said that?
Do you know who Chuck Norris is?
David.
I don't know what you know.
Yes, of course I know who.
All right,
Chuck
tell
Norris
me what
is.
you know Chuck Norris from.
I know that he has. Is that the one that has water? The Sea Force.
Pardon? What?
The Sea Force. The water.
Maybe.
brand?
Yeah. He
out of Brenham.
But
isn't he on from the Karate Kid? Is that him?
No, that's not Karate Kid. That's
but he does
karate.
But he does stuff like that.
Delta Force, Walker, Texas Ranger.
Texas Ranger. My son's Walker and Texas Ranger.
That's Talladega Nights.
And that came from Chuck Norris.
Oh. My dad's going to be so disappointed in me.
And I know he's listening.
Chuck, come on the show.
Chuck.
I hear he's in town often. Anybody who's got a contact to Chuck, we'd love to have him here.
He and David could talk about
their kickboxing classes at 4:20.
I bet he's up at 4:47 doing kickboxing.
He probably is.
Let me just go ahead and say this real quick about the kickboxing.
Okay.
There are grandmas in that class that could kick my butt.
Okay.
So anybody can do it.
That's fine.
Shout out to our friends at BV MMA. All right, let's do this. Let's hit a break. We'll come back. Olin, I was not kidding when I said you have a story, and you kind of went into it. Imagine that as a heritage film.
Yeah, it might be.
Like Quinn thinks
are
you're
they
cool.
going to put a rating on it?
They'll beep it out.
Okay.
All right. But Quinn thinks you're cool now. But
No, he
imagine a
doesn't, but
scenario like you do a heritage film, right? And 15 years from now, however many years from now, you're on the couch with Quinn and little Quinn's there, Quinn Jr.'s there, and you guys are kind of talking about your story, your humble beginnings, everything you talked about, your previous job to here, and then, when you run for mayor of College Station, all the great things that have happened in your life, but you're going to be able to share that story with Quinn and then his son, and then later Quinn Jr. will get to share it with Quinn III. Like, to me, there isn't an old.
Oh, I think that's a great idea. In fact, I wish that service would have been available like when my father was still alive.
Yep. Think about that. And then you can share that with Quinn and,
Right.
and on and on. You can do that with Heritage Films.
Or my mother, for that matter.
Yeah. You can also do the year flicks where you take a kid like my daughter Annalise, 12-year-old, 10-year-old, 15-year-old, whatever, do a quick 20-minute video Q&A, which is basically a benchmark video where you find out about them now. A couple years from now, you update the story, and you see their growth, their passions, their likes, and whatnot. It's an easy website to remember, yourheritagefilm.com, yourheritagefilm.com, 713-893-8341, 713-893-8341.
I'm Chelsea Reber with your community calendar on The Zone, brought to you by Southern Tire Mart. The Brazos Valley Community Band invites interested musicians to their first rehearsal of the season on Monday, August 14th at 7:15 p.m. at Covenant Presbyterian Church. More information is online at brazosvalleycommunityband.org. The Brazos Valley Veterans Memorial Board is accepting applications to add military veteran names to the Wall of Honor. The veteran may be living, deceased, or active and does not have to be a Brazos Valley resident. Visit bvvm.org for more information. The Brazos Valley Long-Term Care Ombudsman Program seeks volunteers throughout the Brazos Valley to advocate for residents living in nursing homes and assisted living facilities. No prior experience is needed and free training is provided. Visit bvcog.org for more information. Southern Tire Mart carries the major brands you trust, like Toyo, Yokohama, Bridgestone, Firestone, and Michelin. That's your community calendar. I'm Chelsea Reber on The Zone.
David Nuño here to talk about how much I love Legacy Workspaces located in the heart of College Station on Longmire. Let me tell you something. Big box office spaces done, finish, done. Legacy Workspaces is leading the way in modern, affordable, impressive officing. So many great amenities like reserved parking, free office supplies on demand, impressive conference rooms to host your clients, and some of the best coffee in town. Ay que rico, repeatedly voted best of the Brazos Valley. Visit legacyworkspaces.com and leave your legacy today.
Hi, this is Kelly Adams with Girard Construction, custom home builders for the Brazos Valley since 2002. We love to help our clients take their vision and build it into reality. Our local team is hands-on and will work with you step by step, from planning and budgeting to choosing finishes and handing you the keys. All of our subcontractors are local, and most have been with us for 10 years or more. At Girard Construction, we don't just build homes, we build relationships. Let's build your dream home together. Visit us at girard-construction.com.
At ASCO Equipment, we don't have offices. We have service and support centers because we're in business to do two things: serve and support our customers and do it better than anybody else. It's why we're on it with boots on the ground, not on the desk. We're on it with Case Construction Equipment. Together, we're hardworking partners who are willing to get their hands dirty to help you win. Case Equipment is practical and intuitive. Hardcore, versatile machines we're proud to serve and support. At ASCO, we're on it. In Bryan at 1875 North Earl Rudder Freeway.
On the Louis Bellina Show, presented by B&B Automotive and Superior Auto Service, I always get by with a little help from my friends. People like Olin Buchanan of TexAgs, Cedric Golden of the Austin American Statesman, and every Friday, it's the pregame show. We go in the pit, thanks to Dixie Tire Company, with Bryce Jones. Join me, Louis Bellina, and my friends, weekdays 11 to 2, right here on the Zone 1150 AM and 93.7 FM.
Just take those old records off the shelf. I sit and listen to them by myself. Today's music ain't got the same soul. I like that old time rock and roll.
We're having a Facebook conversation on the air or off the air.
Because I'm so limited in my knowledge.
There's a button that you press edit post, and then you can. But I'll show you at the break. Okay. Don't worry about it if you can't figure it out. It is TexAgs Radio. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio, Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. Another person, I should say, Ty Holden, commenting on the shirts that we're wearing here on the chat. You can get them at CC Creations, The Warehouse at CC Creations.
I want to get one of those.
This one's good.
Yeah, I like that T-shirt.
Pretty good. OB, I read this, and two things caught my attention about this.
Okay.
First off, Art Briles is back. Did you see this?
No, I didn't.
He's going to be coaching the new Dallas Spring football team.
Okay.
So it caught my attention, Art Briles, because I know the last time he almost got a gig.
He coached some high school football up in East Texas, Mount Vernon.
But wasn't there another team that he got, like, it was a college?
I think there's been several.
Yeah, and then they had to. But spring leagues, do they ever work?
No. But look, Art has plenty of money. He's a strong coach because he enjoys coaching.
He just loves coaching, yeah.
And my take on this, I know this is not. At what point are you allowed to
forgive
to start coaching again?
Move on, yeah.
Especially there's still some debates about the level of his culpability.
Call it a pioneer of that kind of offense, but everybody's got that kind of offense now, right? So it'd be interesting how he would evolve, since it's been a while, since it's been a minute since he's coached at this level.
Yeah. So I wonder if enough time's gone by that people don't care that he's coaching, or if it's because it's only in a obscure league.
Can you bank on something? Brought to you by Vera Bank, genuine banking when you're ready to for better.
Hey, I'm way ahead of things, but I'm banking on things we talked about today, and I'm going to have positive answers to those three questions.
We'll have more on TexAgs Radio.
The SEC football preview is here. Tune in each weekday afternoon at 4:30 for the long-anticipated but never duplicated SEC preview. Our SEC preview is brought to you by First Financial Bank, MSC Opus, and the Fly Fishing Roundup. We'll shine the spotlight on one team per day, culminating in the most listened-to radio segment in the world, our predictions August 25th. Phone the neighbors, wake the kids, tell them the SEC preview's underway weekday afternoons at 4:30 on The Zone.
You know us through the Aggie Ring and our work helping current and former students. You also know that we work to uphold our traditions and help bring Aggies together around the world. We are the Association of Former Students, and it's our mission to provide resources, support programs, and cultivate the experiences that you know and love. But have you ever stopped and wondered why? Why does the association support Texas A&M and Texas Aggies? Why are we always here, there, and everywhere for the Aggie Network? Why do we tirelessly work to ensure that the Aggie experience is both unforgettable and life-changing? Well, you may be surprised to learn that the answer to why is as unique as your own Aggie story. That's why we created IamTheWhy.com, a place for shared Aggie stories and unique perspectives. It's where you can hear the why, see the why, and discover why Aggies like you are the why. Visit IamTheWhy.com today.
Get your groove on for the Peace, Love, and Giving Gala as you travel back to the 60s to celebrate Twin City Mission's 60th anniversary, Saturday, August 12th. Enjoy a far-out night as you move and groove to Emerald City's downtown fever while enjoying an out-of-this-world meal. There will be Good Vibes raffle, live auction, and more. Support and celebrate this one-time event of Twin City Mission's 60 years in the Brazos Valley, Saturday, August 12th at the Brazos County Expo. Tickets and information at twincitymission.org. twincitymission.org.
In today's economy, it's just as common for companies to merge and go out of business as it is for workers to change jobs. As a result, retirement plans can be left behind, lost, or forgotten about until it's time for workers to retire. Even in the best of circumstances, workers can have questions about or problems with their retirement plans, but not know where to turn for help. That's where Pension Help America comes in. Found online at pensionhelp.org, Pension Help America connects Americans to resources that can help them find answers to questions about their retirement plans. By guiding you through a simple series of questions, Pension Help America will put you on the path to finding the help you need. Pension Help America is a website of the Pension Rights Center, a nonprofit consumer organization dedicated to protecting and promoting the retirement security of American workers, retirees, and their families. If you have a question about your retirement plan, visit pensionhelp.org. That's pensionhelp.org. A public service message from the Pension Rights Center.
Want to listen online? Not sure of the prize rules? Would you like to learn more about your favorite host? Go now to Zone1150.com. Zone1150.com. This is KZNE College Station Bryan. Aggieland's home for sports.
It is hour number 2. We are TexAgs Radio. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Thank you so much for joining us here this AM. A topic from early in the show that we can revisit here, and it's going to be a jumping off point for what else I'm going to talk about. But what are your 3 biggest questions about A&M this year? I gave mine. I'll kind of restate those and then get into our next point. But I've mentioned on several different occasions today, at least, that my questions aren't so much offensively. They really aren't. Like, I feel good that the offense is going to be not only significantly better, but as Connor O'Gara wrote about this morning, one of the best in the SEC. I do feel that. There are things that have to happen for that to be the case, but I don't have as many questions offensively as I do defensively, and defense was good enough last year. But good enough isn't going to do it this year. And when I say what are your 3 biggest questions about A&M this year, it's to be a 10-plus win team. If you believe, and I don't even know if I believe that they're a 10-plus win team. I don't even know if I believe it. Do I think that they have the talent to do so, the potential coaching staff and scheme? Yeah, all that is a yes. But there are minor questions that need to be answered for me to go all in on that. So with, my preseason expectations, I am not there yet. You answer these questions and I'm there. You answer my 3 questions, and they were very similar to OB's, just phrased a little bit differently, then I do think you are there. So what are yours? Do that. You can call us up on the hotline, 979-693-1150. What are your biggest questions? And then I will try to answer them because I got some answers for our questions that'll be part of the bigger scope in this segment. So to reset where I think A&M has to answer the questions, can they block? Because as I mentioned, offensively, if they answer that question, I think they're going to be fine. I think the play calling is going to be great. I think the creativity is going to be great. I think they're going to get their studs the ball. They're going to feed their studs, right? So offensively, as long as they block well, I think offense is going to be really good. Can they stop the run? If you can't stop the run, you're not going to get the ball back in the fourth quarter. You're not, because all these games are close anyway. You're not going to have a chance to win. You want to control the clock. Well, to control the clock, not only do you have to run the ball effectively, you got to stop them from running the ball effectively. And A&M was terrible at stopping the run last year. The one that I had that I think goes hand in hand with what Olin's was can they force turnovers this year? Well, how do you force turnovers? Well, you need to have some good DBs out there, but you need a defensive line that gets after the quarterback, right? Force them into some bad throws. Force into some rushed throws. All those things. I am confident they're going to score more points this year. I'm confident they're going to score 30-plus points a game. I'm confident they're not going to just give away games in the first few minutes. I'm confident of those things. Some of that might be blind faith. Some of it, I have reasons to believe it. Why did I believe the line's going to block better? Simple. Guys, again, all this goes into self-reflection. All my reasoning for it is not that I just hope they're going to be better. Layden Robinson looked in the mirror. Reuben Fothery looked in the mirror, and they made some physical changes. Health. Bryce Foster is back. Youth. They've got some guys coming up. Chase Basantis is going to be a dude. They've got some experience now. Trey Zune has played a full year. right? There's reasons to believe that the offense will be better other than I just hope they're better. And year 2 of a system. Steve Adazio, year 2. And I gave you reasons for stopping the run why I think it'll be better. Well, yes, maturation is part of the process. Yes, physically sculpting your body is part of the process. Adjustments in scheme. Year 2, again, some of the same things, which goes hand in hand into forcing the turnovers. So that's where I am with them. So I'm going to ask you guys, along with what I just asked, of your 3 biggest questions.
I got a few from Ted on the YouTube chat if you'd like to answer them.
Sure.
So the first one he threw out there was what I kind of touched on earlier, and we don't have to spend too much time on it, but will they stay healthy? Obviously, don't know until they start playing games. A couple of other ones he had, he says 2 or 3 other things that we would like to see is, will this D-line dominate like talent says they should? I'll let you take that one, then I'll give you the other questions.
So the question is, will this D-line dominate like the talent says it should?
That's correct.
Dominate? They have the potential, right? I'm not going to tell you here on August the 10th or 11th, whatever it is, that they are going to dominate from a defensive line standpoint. If they do, they might be Atlanta bound, right? Like, seriously, like if you have because they've recruited on the defensive line at the Georgia clip. And if they can do that with a pretty darn good offense, they're going to Georgia, guys, right? Like dominate, that's what you're asking. They will be significantly better. It is hard for me, until I see it, to be able to jump that far. But I know they got the talent to do it. I know they got, like, McKinley Jackson in the middle. I mean, from all the people we've been talking to, like the way the NFL's looking at this guy, like I'm telling you, like, expect McKinley to have a big year, a really big year. If Fidel can build on what he did against Alabama last year back from injury, our 23 and 23 is Shamar Turner. The Shamars, I hate linking them together, but both those guys, like there's a lot of reasons to think that they can. I'm not ready to sit here today and tell you that they will. So, but there is that part of it to discuss. I appreciate the question, though, because I certainly do think it is something that is in the realm of possibility. No doubt about that. So the question, though, is, like, when you go through some of these top-tier SEC teams, I'm going to kind of throw a few out at you. Who's going to be up? Who's going to be down? Now, I'm going to start with the downs for a second, because it is impossible, I think. How many points a game did Tennessee? 46. Am I right about that? 46 points per game last year they scored, Nick. If you have a chance.
Yeah, I'll Google that real quick.
Look at it. At least in SEC play, I believe they scored 46 points per game with Hendon Hooker, with Jalen Hyatt. Josh Heupel obviously is very creative offensively and is one of these minds that, is just taking the game. I cannot see that offense duplicating that. I don't see them scoring 40-plus points a game this year. I just don't see it. Like, I mean, are they going to have games? Of course. But you got Joe Milton at quarterback. That guy can throw. He can also throw it out of the stadium on accident, right? So there are reasons to believe that they'll take a step back. Like, Jalen Hyatt's not there, guys. They have some dudes have stepped up and are going to be players. But I can't believe that Tennessee is going to be at that same level. They're going to be really good. I'm not one of those that thinks Tennessee's taking this huge step back. I just can't see them, could I see them scoring 39.5 points per game? Sure. The 46, was I right about the 46 there, Nick?
Yeah, for the season, that's what they totaled. I'm trying to get you conference numbers because I know that's kind of what you're talking about. But yeah, right around that number, I'm sure.
Yeah. All right. Alabama enters this season with so many questions, yet so much talent. I've been hitting the table a lot today, guys. I apologize if you can hear that. But Alabama, I don't think it is possible to go from a generational quarterback in Bryce Young, who was Harry Houdini, who saved you at the end of games, big games, kept you alive in huge games. I don't believe it is possible to have that level of offense again. Alabama's offense is going to take a step back. By the way, Tommy Rees is a very nice offensive coordinator. I think he was averaging around 31 points a game last year with Notre Dame. But I don't you're taking on different defenses. Hello. I just don't see Alabama's offense being able to do what they've done. And also, I think Tommy Rees is a different type of coordinator than what Bill O'Brien was. So I think that from a personnel standpoint, with the questions we have at quarterback, their offense won't be as good. So that's part. And also, they haven't really developed wide receivers recently. They just haven't. Mississippi State. I think it's easy to assume that their offense will take a step back. The untimely passing of Mike Leach, a defensive-minded head coach in Zach Arnett, a different offensive philosophy with Kevin Barbay. Like, there are reasons to think that their offense won't be as good. But I will say this. Last year, Mississippi State only averaged 31.5 points per game. They're a team that I think will take a step back offensively. More conventional, won't score as much. That does not mean that they won't be really, really good. I think Will Rogers has played in one style of offense. We're going to see how it evolves this year. So that's part of the conversation. The better offenses. We spent the first part of this segment talking about why, I think I spent more time on the defense, but I think we can quickly get into why A&M's better. You guys have heard this show for months. You know why I think it'll be better. Quarterback, offensive line, playmakers at wide receiver. If I had and tight end group that is very deep. If I had a question, it's on the running backs, but it's a question just because of lack of highlights to see from this particular group. Reuben Owens is a highly coveted 5-star, the best running back in the country. Le'Veon Moss, sample set last year, but looked really good and looked good at spring and looked good at the scrimmage the other day. And Amari Daniels played really well in the LSU game. Amari Daniels, there's reasons to believe that Amari could be an excellent. So I have questions there because Devon Achane's not there, and if I'm going to have questions about Alabama losing Bryce Young, I'm going to have questions about A&M losing Devon Achane. That being said, it's not a huge question. So you know my reasons for A&M. Kentucky's offense last year was bad. Like, bad. And that's with a really good quarterback, by the way. But their offensive line was so bad that I think they averaged like 20.5 points per game. They bring back Liam Cohen, their offensive coordinator, who they had a lot of success with, a couple 10-win seasons under, right? So he's back. They bring in a highly coveted transfer in Devin Leary at quarterback, who I am very high on. Okay? Ray Davis rushed for over 1,000 yards with Vandy. He's at Kentucky. I think Kentucky is in the running to be the second best team in the East. And if they, so just offensively, they'll be better. They will absolutely be better. The biggest question there is their offensive line. I have not studied their offensive line. I'm not going to study their offensive line. If you want to, you can go ahead and text the show.
Can I ask you why
you don't even
you're
have to
high
apologize
on Devin Leary in Kentucky? Because again, I've asked Billy this. I've heard you, OB. A lot of people are really high on Kentucky, and I don't exactly see why. Devin Leary looks good, but I mean his numbers don't jump off the page from last season at all. Only threw for 1,200 yards, 11 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. But I mean, just I would like to hear the reasoning behind the Devin Leary hype and Kentucky.
Well, I'll give you a couple reasons. And the first thing is he is a quarterback that I think you're going to see. By the way, he only played half the year. I mean, he was hurt. He played in 6 games. So that's why those numbers are dwarfed.
So he's on track to have a pretty good year then.
11 touchdowns, 4 picks. He's an NFL-style quarterback. Again, I think the fact that they're bringing in a offensive coordinator that was there a couple years back, who went to the NFL, gained some more knowledge, and is back with Stoops, I think that makes a big difference. The question for me, and their running game is going to be solid. It's typically solid there. But you throw in, like we tend to believe, and again, I haven't studied their offensive line, but their offensive line was so bad last year. And by the way, the arrow can only point up, right? Like A&M scored 22.8 points per game last year.
Yeah, Kentucky, I looked for you. They scored 19.5. They averaged 19.5 points per game last year. So, yeah, good point. You
have to be better
You
than
can't
that.
be much worse.
Right? You can't be much worse. The offensive line was really bad. You had a really good quarterback, but you've got another guy that you think might be the guy. You've got a running back. He's not Christian Hernandez, but he's a dude who rushed for 1,000 yards at freaking Vandy, right? So you bring him in there. The arrow is absolutely pointing up. And when I say this to you, like with Tennessee being worse, well, of course, when you score 46 points a game, it's hard to go above that, right? Like for an entire season, including SEC games, like that's so there should be a natural drop off. And predicting Kentucky having a better offense isn't like amazing Pythagorean theorem math, right? Like it's pretty simple to say, like, they're scoring just a little bit more than 2 touchdowns a game. In today's college football, you got to be better. Like, you absolutely have to be better. So they think the O-line will be better. They bring in a transfer running back who's awesome, and they bring in a transfer quarterback who's awesome, and they bring in their offensive coordinator who made them really good. He's back. Those are reasons to buy Kentucky for having a better offense.
I guess for me, I just have a hard time buying into any team in the East just because, Georgia is that high and away, at least on paper, look like they'll be that high and away better than everyone else. So, like with Kentucky, South Carolina gets a lot of hype. I just have a hard time buying into it. What's up?
So when it comes to Georgia, I think 2 things can be true. Look at Georgia's schedule.
Yeah.
Right? It is not hard. And can you pull that up?
Yeah,
it's not a hard schedule. Right? They're going to be just fine. But I'm sorry. Winning 3 straight national championships hasn't been done in our lifetime and before. Hasn't been done in my dad's lifetime. Maybe in my dad's lifetime. He's 93. Right?
Well, so it depends on what you want to call a challenge, but on paper, at least, their biggest game looks like at Tennessee, and that's the second to last game for them. They end the season at Tennessee, at Georgia Tech. Their first SEC game is versus South Carolina at home, but we saw what they did to them on the road last year. Obviously, might be better. We don't know, but and they do play Ole Miss at Sanford Stadium as well. So maybe that one, final 3 games to end the season is really where the challenge is. But again, kind of what I said yesterday, they're going to have all those games before then to figure it out. Let's say Carson Beck doesn't work out. Well, they roll in a new QB, and maybe that clicks for them, and bam, they're back to the Georgia of old. So, again, I think they're going to be good. I just have a hard time buying into anyone else in the East.
I think they're a playoff team.
And I know you're not saying that any team in the East is going to beat Georgia to win the East. I know that's not what you're really saying here, but
I think they are beyond talented. Beyond, like, the amount of 5 stars that they have on their roster, I think is only second to Alabama, if I remember the numbers correctly, or they're neck and neck, right? But Tennessee Martin win, Ball State win, you host South Carolina win, UAB you win, you go to Auburn. Look, that's not for them. That's not a challenge, right? The only real challenge, as you mentioned, is, and I don't know how this became about Tennessee's schedule, but the only real challenge is at the end of the year going to Tennessee. And I think Tennessee is going to take a step back, but it's really hard to play Neyland Stalen. So there are reasons. But my whole point of it was Tennessee's offense might take a step back because it's hard to duplicate what they did last year with Hendon Hooker and company. But it doesn't mean they're not going to be extremely good, right?
Yeah.
And then the Georgia part of it was, I don't think Georgia's really going to be tested until the very end. So they have almost a cakewalk into the SEC championship, not like what they're going through in the West. So they're going to be better. I think 2 things can be true about South Carolina. I think offensively they're going to be better, but they're not going to be as good as they were last year. I think 2 things can be true. Spencer Rattler, we're still waiting for him to be that Heisman contender that we saw very early on in his tenure at Oklahoma. He showed some flashes of it at the end of last year. He was pretty good at the end of the last year. He did not impress me against A&M. A&M shot themselves in the foot 3 times, right? But he showed some flashes at the end of the year. Can he build on that? Juice Wells, another dude out there. South Carolina's offense is going to be better. I don't know if their win total is going to be better, but their offense is going to be better. And then Auburn. Do you have the SEC points per game numbers in front of you by any chance, Nick? Or the SEC teams?
I have the entire country. Where are you looking for?
Give me Auburn's point total from last year.
All right.
I'm assuming it's in the mid-20s.
Let me find it real quick.
No, I got it right here. 24.8, so I was right. Mid-20s, right? I think Hugh Freeze is good for another 6 points, right? I do. I think they're going to be better offensively. It may take some time for them. Somebody asked me yesterday, we were at lunch, and they're like, would you rather get Auburn early or late? I would, as A&M, I'd rather get them late. More film.
Really?
I would rather get them late. I don't love the idea of getting them early. I don't.
First SEC game?
Yeah.
Not too excited
I don't love
about
it.
that
But
one?
I mean, I still think A&M, there's a should-win factor in all this, and they should win that game. There's no doubt about it. I know a bunch of you have sent some text messages on this exact topic. We'll get into that. Or if you want to call the show, you can certainly do that as well at 979-693-1150. 979-693-1150 is the phone number here for TexAgs Radio. I can't find my rundown, so we're just going to hit a break. We'll come back. Kennedy Cabin will have some text for us, and we'll get into some thoughts and more. It's TexAgs Radio.
I'm Sean Burnett with your Aggie Sports Minute on The Zone. This update is brought to you by Hilco Metal Roofing and Supply. Call 936-825-0500 or click hillcosupply.com. More Aggie football players have earned spots on preseason watch lists. Damani Richardson was named to the Jim Thorpe watch list, given to the best defensive back in college football. Edgerrin Cooper was selected to the Butkus watch list, recognizing the top linebacker in the nation. Quarterback Connor Wigman fielded plenty of questions on the offense earlier this week. He said the game plan is to get the ball to his playmakers at wide receiver.
That's the plan for sure. I mean, give them the ball and let them go make plays. That's that simple. I mean, that's what I was trying to tell Evan the other day. I mean, just throw a hitch and let him go 60 yards. I mean, that's the best feeling as a quarterback.
As a freshman in 5 games, he threw 8 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. He was also asked about his decision to come play at Texas A&M.
I grew up a college football fan. I mean, I didn't really have a specific school, but what got me here was, I mean, they treated me like family, just the whole coaching staff. I mean, everyone in College Station. I mean, it was a different feel than wherever else I was visiting and what other schools I was talking to. And I sat down with my dad, and he just told me, this isn't a 4-year decision, it's a 40-year decision. And just be able to get into the Aggie network and to go and get my degree and get my Aggie ring, I mean, I feel like that's going to be a huge thing, especially living in the state of Texas.
The season kicks off September 2nd against New Mexico at Kyle Field. And that's your Aggie Sports Minute, brought to you by Hilco Metal Roofing and Supply. On The Zone, I'm Sean Burnett.
To succeed in sports, athletes must do the little things to get better every day. The same applies in business. Howdy, I'm Stephanie Gomez, Treasury Management Officer from Veribank. We understand the impact of mastering the little things. We pay attention to detail to find the right product or service for your business, like tech tools to manage your cash and payments or financing options for expansion. At Veribank, we believe in better business banking every day. Visit us at veribank.com today. That's VERAbank.com.
Veribank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Maroon U is your ultimate stop for brand name apparel, gifts, and accessories for the entire family. From Columbia, 47 brand, Yeti, Dooney & Burke, and Adidas, we're able to outfit you for every occasion. Visit Maroon U and our family of companies on Holloman Drive in College Station to shop the latest in brand name Aggie merchandise. Shop Maroon U today, voted best in the Brazos' best gift shop since 2016. Maroon never looked so good with Maroon U.
You can hear Houston Astros baseball all season, all postseason long on The Zone, 1150 AM and 93.7 FM, and select games on Gospel 97.3 FM. Astros baseball brought to you by Kelly Burt Dozer. All season long, Houston Astros baseball on The Zone and select games on Gospel 97.3 FM. Astros baseball brought to you by Kelly Burt Dozer.
Well, hey, everybody. TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. So been asking you some questions you have about A&M. Some people are chiming in on that on the text line and also on the chat. I did talk about teams in the last segment that I think will take a step forward offensively and teams taking a step back. Ag Engineering 12 says, sure, Freeze runs a style of offense, talking about Auburn, that can be very dangerous and tricky, and they invested a lot. They did overhaul. They brought in so many transfers, by the way. Invested a lot overhauling that team in the portal. Total trap game, in my opinion. But he says we should curb stop Mississippi State by contrast. So, look, I'm going to be real. I'm gonna dumb down football for you real quick, and I'm going to simplify it all. Every game should be an anger game. Every game should be treated with this like someone's coming for your job. Like, you have been disrespected. You disrespected yourself last year. There is no game, not freaking New Mexico, that you should overlook, right? There is not a game that you should go in lightly. There is not a game on your schedule that you should be down a couple scores because you had gave up a kickoff return touchdown, an intercept. Like, no. The focus should have started January 1st, to use an easy date, and there should be nothing. And it's kind of like you maybe start off going 100 miles an hour, you dial it back a little bit with that same attention and focus, and it's just a steady climb up. And as each obstacle comes your way, you build on that focus that you had the week prior. And from all the things that we're hearing from the locker room, they are focused, they are aligned, they are unified, there's a team culture. I've mentioned those first few practices, the amount of hand slaps after every drill, from coaches and players to each other, the amount of accountability, that all will play a part. So I don't care if Mississippi State has beaten you a few times or that Hugh Freeze has a cool offense. Great. We have better players. We have better focus. Because focus is something you can pick. You can't always have the more talent in the game. I think A&M 90% of the time will have as much talent or better than the opposing team. You can't control your attitude. I remember coaches would tell me that as a kid when I was playing sports, but it is 100% true. Your attention to detail is all from within, and I think we'll see that. Let's go to the news and social center. Kennedy Cavan with us. Hello, Kennedy.
Hey, I'm back.
You didn't say that with the same enthusiasm as you said earlier.
What?
I'm not saying it in a negative way.
I've been here. I've introduced myself. I didn't think I needed to come in.
So you know how, let's have a behind-the-scenes conversation here.
Okay.
So typically in sports radio, now our audience is different. We have a very long TSL. You know what TSL is?
Nope.
Time spent listening. We have a very high TSL.
Okay.
But typically in sports radio, people listen in 8-minute chunks, which is why it's okay. This is radio from 1983. Louis is probably high-fiving people in the back. He's like, yep, told him that. But people listen for 8 to 10-minute chunks. So it's okay to reset conversations because the audience is constantly changing. Okay. Although those who watch us on the CW, those who watch us on YouTube, and those who watch us on TexAgs.com are all probably with us for most of the 2 to 3 hours. So
yeah. So I just need to have
just pretend like somebody wasn't listening earlier.
Hey guys, how are you doing?
Do you remember a moment ago? You're like, what were you guys talking about in the last segment?
I was not.
You kind of asked me that. You did.
Okay.
Which means you weren't listening.
Y'all were talking about teams, but I was asking you to kind of bring us back to the subject at hand about our show topic that you kind of laid out at the beginning. And I was just making sure we were jumping back into that.
It's all good. It's all love here, Kennedy.
I'll just never ask another question again.
I bet you can't.
I bet I will.
Really?
Yeah.
Ask me something.
No.
Okay. Then read a text.
Okay.
I bet you will.
I'm going to put them in a form of a sentence, not a question.
Okay.
We have a lot of people asking about the O-line and will they improve. That's just kind of me summing up about 10 text messages and YouTube chats in one.
Well, I spent a good 6 minutes on that a few minutes ago, but
okay.
But let me just make sure you understand because people can say they'll be better, but I have my whys, and my whys are pretty simple. Guys worked on their bodies, right? Because some dudes lost some weight, feel a little bit more limber, a little faster to where they were a year prior. That's A. B, experience. I'm sorry, that plays a part in all this. C, health. It could be A, Bryce Foster, the quarterback of that offensive line, if you will, the center of the universe. He is healthy. He's, by the way, elite at his job. Better. So those reasons alone, you should be better. Year 2 of a system should be better. The word should keeps popping up. But again, it should because guys did something different than they were doing. When things work, more of the same. When things don't, change it up, see if it gets better. And I feel that these moves will prove them to be better. Kevin.
On the flip side of that, D-line, they're asking if they're going to be elite this year.
I like how you're phrasing it. They're asking if they're going to be elite.
Yeah, they're asking, not me.
You wouldn't ask.
I know the answer to
but
that
if you
question.
did have a question to ask me, what would it be?
I wouldn't ask you a question because I'm not asking you questions anymore.
How long do you think this will last? How long will this bit
It's
last?
going to last until I'm done here in December.
Oh, we could speed that up.
Don't do that. I like this place.
Then ask me a question right now. Go.
They are asking our loyal fans that listen for 2 to 3 hours are asking about the D-line and if they're going to be elite this year. And one specifically asked if they could, I think, keep up. Not keep up is the right word, but with Durkin's offense or defense. Sorry.
Yeah. So kind of aligned with my thoughts on the offensive line. The defensive line, the experience should be so much better. I'm sorry, there is a jump from year 1 to year 2. And when I say year 1 to year 2, it can be freshman year to sophomore year. It can also be first year of playing to your next year, right? Like there is that factor too. There's the whole year in the weight room. There is the second year of a DJ Durkin system. There's also, guys, when we're talking about 1 5-star, you hope it pans out. When you're talking about the amount of 5-stars that defensive line has, some guys are going to be really good. Maybe not everybody lives up to, the wrecking crew status. A lot of those dudes will. And again, they're healthy there too. McKinley Jackson missed time, right? Fidel Diggs missed time. I'm doing a lot of talking and then moving my shoulders with the word that I'm saying for those watching.
You're a hand talker.
Am I?
Yeah.
Can I tell you a quick story about TV?
Look at you with your point right there.
Right. Can I tell you
said.
Can I tell you a quick story about TV?
Okay.
My first job as an anchor, I was at KXXV in Waco, using my hands a lot. And I was anchoring, and I thought I wasn't supposed to use my hands, right?
So you're standing there straight down.
I was seated. And I have
You
all
look
this
armless.
energy. No, not only was I armless, I had all this energy that wanted to come out of my hands. It came out of my head. So I was legit Stevie Wonder, talking
I
like
need
this.
to go find something.
It was like.
I need to go find that. That's incredible.
And then I told my news director, I was like, hey, why is my head moving so much? He goes, because you're not talking with your hands. I go, am I allowed to? Because I'm thinking as an anchor, you're like in a little box. I don't ever see the elites out there, Dale Hansen using his hands. He's like, yes, if you're a hand talker, be a hand talker, because if not, that energy's going elsewhere.
And that's true. He was so correct for that. And he really did save your career with that piece of advice.
Some could say.
Because what I just saw right there was not, it wasn't, that's a movement
By
for
the way,
radio.
when I mentioned Stevie Wonder, do you know what that means?
Yes. Yeah.
What does it mean?
Well, that's kind of mean, isn't it?
Why does it mean?
Isn't Stevie Wonder blind? And
Yeah, but there's a reason I used him as the example. It's not because he's blind.
I don't know what's wrong.
Because when he sings, he
he does.
We are the world. Yeah, he moves his head.
Okay, sorry, I'm not from that time period.
I'd like to come back with "We Are the World" if possible, if I'm allowed to ask.
No,
the
please
folks.
don't.
No,
I'm joking.
Thank you.
Just kidding.
All right, let's talk about the Charge Apparel. Did you know they're Aggie owned and operated? Of course you knew, because you've been listening to this show. Did you know that they're veteran-owned, operated, and donate 12% of total sales to organizations in support of U.S. veterans and mental health initiatives? I hope you knew that. The clothes are awesome, right? Today I'm wearing something from CC's, but I have worn this week a couple different times Charge Apparel gear, and it is awesome. Premier fabric, lightweight, slightly tailored to fit you in the chest and the arms, and they make you look and feel your best out there. It is so good, without a doubt. I love wearing my clothes from the Charge Apparel. In fact, I need to double up my wardrobe from there. There are a couple Aggies who not only graduated from here, they went to the U.S. Army, Travis commissioned to the Air Force. You have Tucker involved as well. And they decided to do the Charge Apparel as a way to continue to serve their country through veteran nonprofits that they support out there. It is a cool place to go. They are in Austin, but you go to the website, all the stuff is about A&M, guys. They're just a real bunch of Aggies that love this community graduating here from 2014. All right, it's thechargeapparel.com. Again, chargeapparel.com. Find them on social media at The Charge Apparel, on Instagram or on Twitter, The Charge Brand.
It's TexAgs Radio, where they usually talk Aggie football and occasionally good recipes, gym etiquette, and concert reviews. TexAgs Radio on the Zone.
Turn up, let's go.
From WTAW, I'm Chelsea Reber with a news update on the Zone. The College Station City Council proposes a property tax rate decrease of 1 cent for the next fiscal year. Last night's unanimous vote proposes a rate that goes as high as possible without requiring an election. Due to new valuation and increased valuation in existing properties, that will generate an additional $10 million. The public hearing on College Station's proposed property tax rate was set for August 24th. The College Station City Council approves the purchase of land for a 7th fire station. It will be the 6th station east of the railroad tracks along Welburn Road. Fire Chief Richard Mann says there is 1 station west of the tracks and 2 more stations that can respond without being stopped by trains.
Station 2 on Rio Grande can take 2818 across the tracks, and Station 6 on University can take University and cross the tracks even if there were a train that was stopped on the tracks.
The council voted unanimously to spend $784,000 for 4 acres of land along Greens Prairie Road across the street from the Dalton Drive entrance into the Castlegate 2 neighborhood. College Station police responded last night to a crash involving a bicyclist. CSPD social media reported the collision closed the intersection of Munson and University Oaks. A 23-year-old bicyclist was taken to the hospital with serious injuries. The Bryan Fire Department's request for 2 new vehicles was approved at this week's City Council meeting. An SUV with 90,000 miles is being replaced with a new model for BFD's Community Paramedic Program. The council also approved buying a truck that will be used by BFD's Training Division, Rescue Response, and Wildland Fire Response. The first campaign announcements have come since John Rainey's decision to not seek re-election to the Texas House District that includes most of Brazos County. 3 Republicans who have declared their intent to file include local businessman Larry Hodges, former Representative Fred Brown, and retired Brazos County Sheriff Chris Kirk. For more news, go to WTAW.com. I'm Chelsea Reber on The Zone.
The biggest names in sports are on ESPN Radio.
Brandon Jacobs, former New York Giants running back.
Newsflash, not Mr. Barkley, and I know for sure not Mr. Henry. I just don't think these guys can be replaced that simple. And I think these teams are making big-time mistakes.
2-time Pro Bowler. He is Jeffrey Simmons.
Got a text. I'm like, well, why Coach Braver text me? It was like, sign Hopkins. And I said, excuse my language, I said, oh, I said, we just got so much better on offense.
Otis Anderson, Super Bowl 25 MVP, the former Giant.
Nobody's giving Giants any chance, even though we were in the playoff, and we won the first round of the playoff.
Desmond Ridder, Atlanta Falcons quarterback.
If you won the $1 billion Powerball, what's the first thing Desmond Ridder's doing?
Probably do my mom a good portion of that in 3rd round rookie contract. Can't really do that much.
Hall of Famer Darryl Green. If you guys lined up 10 times, how many catches is Harry Douglas getting on Darryl Green?
You saying he's going to get tested?
Man, don't do that, DG.
Listen in to ESPN Radio, weeknights and weekends on Sports Radio, 1150 and 93.7 FM.
Love is all we need. We are the world. We are the children. We are the ones.
I wonder if Braden Gall's old enough to remember We Are the World. Let's go to the hotline and find out. You remember this one?
I'm old, that's for sure. Yeah, I remember that. I don't know exactly what year that came out, but I'm pretty sure it was after I was born.
I'm assuming 83, 84 in that range.
Yep. So I was born 82. I'm 41. I was born a millennial, but I do not identify as one. I am transitioning, folks, to an older generation with my grumpy habits and screaming at clouds and go touch grass and lack of Instagram, you know.
It's TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Our guest is Braden Gall from 440 Sports and ESPN Radio. Braden, full disclosure, when you go to SEC Media Days, great part of it is like seeing the guys you know that you do shows with. I think what happens to us is we sometimes don't do radio with the guys we know because we're getting all the guys we don't know on the show, right? So we didn't get to do radio in Nashville. I know you had Billy on with you, and I was actually part of the set.
Yeah, your
production team, right? For that.
No, first of all I just heard was I'm not good enough for you is what I heard, which is fine. My wife tells me that every day, so it's totally good.
I do remember a conversation like, can you do it now? Like, actually, no. Can we check into tomorrow? And I was like, when that happens, like, I'm booking left and right. But it's good to get you here on the show. I saw some tweets from you on the Johnny Doc. I definitely want to get into those here in a minute. But let's just talk a little bit first about A&M and there's been so much talk about the Petrino angle. My whole point in this long-winded question is I don't have as many questions about the offense now that I do about the defense. Where are you when it comes to like questions about A&M?
I think that's an interesting way to look at it. If you're talking about just the trust in the resume with Bobby Petrino, like I don't know how you have any doubts. Like there's no questions about his ability to design and implement an offense. He's done it a lot of different ways with a lot of different players. Generally, there's some common themes, whether that was Louisville with Michael Bush and Brian Brom, whether that was Arkansas when they were slinging it around with R.I.P. Ryan Mallett, of course, as well as I think it was Wilson the year after that had a huge year as well. And he's just there's no questions about that. Like I know that he hasn't officially named a starter, but when you hear the phrase, and I think Olin said this, when you see the phrase accurate and fast, like, I think that's Connor Wigman. And I think we've all assumed Connor Wigman is the guy for a long time. Doesn't mean that they don't have a very good second option. I just don't doubt those things coming together and working. Now, is the offensive line top third in the SEC? That could make them a 9 or 10 win team. Is it middle third of the SEC? That could make them a 7 or 8 win team. If it's terrible, that could make them a 6 or 7 win team. I just think the margins in this conference are so slim that we're going to be talking about 3 or 4 games every Saturday that are between 3.5 and 8 point spreads, according to Vegas, like in the West, in the East, everywhere. And so I don't, your question was about defense, so I'm getting there, but I'm not as worried about that side of the ball because, and this is a weird way to look at it, I think there are a lot of growing pains on offenses across the conference. Like if Jackson Dart is great, that's going to be a tough matchup. If Dan Enos and KJ Jefferson come together, that's going to be a tough matchup. Again, Joe Milton, you guys play in Knoxville. Is Joe Milton elite like Hendon Hooker, or is he the Joe Milton of the first 5 years of his college career? We just don't know about a lot of these quarterbacks. Spencer Rattler. Which Spencer Rattler are you going to get? So I think there's room for error on defense. I think offensively, that to me, the offensive line is where, again, I know this is beating a dead horse here, but I think the offensive line is, where we're going to figure things out. And I think that's the same for Kentucky, same for Tennessee, same for Arkansas, same for Missouri. I mean, it's like everybody, it's like if you can block and your quarterback is consistent, you're going to win some games this year. And if not, you're probably going to lose a few of those close games.
I'm glad you said it that way because I had 3 questions to start the show, what I have about A&M. And the first one is, can they block? And if they block, the offense is going to be really good. I truly believe that. Then I was like, can they stop the run? Because it really is a trenches league, and A&M, you could run on them last year. And if they do those 2 things, can they get to the quarterback? Which is a question you could ask for any team. But A&M did not get a lot of sacks last year and did not force a lot of turnovers. That's my questions for the team, but I got 2 of those defensively. One on the offense because I think you've got a quarterback that's going to make it work. I think you've got a wide receiver group there that is deep, 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 and I have a little faith in the running game because it is a Jimbo team.
I know this is maybe a cop out, but I think we do it for Bama, we do it for Georgia, we do it for Ohio State. Sometimes we do it for the teams that recruit 5-star studs. Like if you have enough of them will hit eventually. like that. It's not that you need all, like, and Tennessee's kind of doing this. Last year's class was very, very good, very highly rated defensive line class, but you kind of need to put 2 or 3 of them together. And then what you do is there's an attrition rate, like we all know about. One guy's not going to work out. He's going to transfer. One guy's just not going to be as good, but maybe he's a serviceable rotational piece. 2 guys are going to be superstars, and then 2 guys will be dependable, right? Like if you recruit 7 5-stars, that's sort of what you're going to get out of the deal. But that means you're going to get 2 dependable players and 2 stars. And I think Georgia's shown us this, Bama. When you recruit at that level, eventually it works. And part of the reason I like A&M to beat Tennessee in Knoxville is because if you can stop Tennessee's running game, you can limit that Josh Heupel offense pretty quickly. It's really dangerous against teams that have defensive lines that are subpar. Like, and I know you mentioned like how poorly they did against the run last year, which is one of the most bizarre anomalies from a talent and statistical production standpoint in the entire conference. So I expect it to be much better. And one of the reasons I like the development of some of that talent and the defensive line to go up there and win is because I think they have better athletes than Tennessee does in that matchup. And that's really the only matchup that kind of matters to Tennessee. It is, Georgia stopped the run. You can't beat them. Like that's it. And Alabama normally would do that. They didn't do it last year against Tennessee. I think Kentucky's got some weapons to do that against Tennessee this year. So we'll see. I think A&M's got the personnel to go up there and just sort of go one-on-one. And if they go one-on-one and win those battles one-on-one in the trenches, I think they beat Tennessee. And that's a huge swing game for both teams.
Absolutely. Talking to Braden Gall here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. I saw you tweeting after the Johnny Doc, and it caught my attention. One of the things that you did point out was you weren't having this talk about what people said about A&M not being able to compete in the SEC, and you pointed at a couple of nice seasons, beyond nice, really nice seasons. Just kind of take those 140 characters into an answer
Sure.
here on TexAgs.
Well, it's funny. Like I think the and I ask Arkansas fans this. I'll get to the answer. I ask Arkansas fans this all the time. I say, all right, 1992, you joined the SEC. You've had 2 10-win seasons in 30 years. But your prestige, your stability, the SEC on your shoulder pad, the financing, the fundraising, the future, baseball. I mean, they won a national championship in basketball a couple of years later after joining the SEC. But in football, which drives all of this, they've had 2 10-win seasons since joining. Right now, in the new Big 12, when Texas and Oklahoma leave, Arkansas would be the best program in the Big 12. Not by a lot, but they'd be the best program in the Big 12. They would be the front runner from a resource standpoint, from a history standpoint, recruiting, everything. Would you rather be the top team in the Big 12 and maybe win 4 or 5 conference championships, maybe get to 4 or 5 New Year's Six bowls, or would you rather have the stability, the prestige, the money, the exposure that you get out of being in the SEC? And I think most fans I ask are all saying, no, we'd rather struggle in the SEC than be the big dog in the Big 12. And I don't. Everybody can make up their own mind on that. I think with Texas coming into the league and with the year that the 2 years that Manziel had, frankly, the 2020 year where people I think forget that sure there's an asterisk there, it's COVID, but at the same time, that was a team that had 1 loss and finished 5th in the playoff rankings, and I think a lot of fans around the country forget how close they were. Very easy to point to why best offensive line and quarterback play in Jimbo Fisher's era at Texas A&M. If they get that again, that's why people like them. But I think that they haven't exactly done anything more in the SEC than they did in the Big 12. They were fairly middle of the pack. I think they've had some big jump years, but they've done it with significantly more resources, significantly more stability, significantly more prestige, tons more national exposure and revenue. And so to package that with Johnny football and the craze that happened right out of the gate, like it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer, but I think there's still a debate about what does the ultimate high end look like. Can you be Alabama? Can you be Georgia? Can you be LSU? When they're at their best, they are winning national championships and crushing people. And that's even Tennessee, that's Auburn, that's Florida. Those are the haves in this conference, and A&M has to get to that level to sort of realize all of its potential, and it has not yet done that, which it can, but it has not done that yet.
Braden, you had some unanswered questions at the end of the Johnny Doc. I think you liked it, but then you're like, I wanted more.
Yeah, I love, so 2 things. First of all, I love just reliving fun football. Like that's just, I don't care what team it is. I don't care what player it is. Controversial, not controversial. I love it. I think it's fun. I'm looking forward to the Swamp Kings one about Florida. I mean, I know Urban Meyer's a giant jerk, but like, it's going to be, I know most of the things that happened with Aaron Hernandez and Tim Tebow, but like, it's going to be fun to relive stuff. The Jordan documentary, for example, it's going to be fun to relive it. And I think most people, I think Johnny is clearly very smart. He is clearly a very smart dude. And what I find interesting is he's smart enough to know that like when you start talking about suicide and bipolar stuff and like really heavy, serious topics, he's smart enough to be self-aware of all of that and to be willing to talk about it and to acknowledge it all. But what I felt is, and again, he doesn't owe me this, he doesn't owe anybody this, but it didn't feel like at the end I got any sense of what he actually wants to accomplish or do with his life. And he doesn't owe me that, but it then asks the question to me is like, well, why are we doing this documentary at this point? Like, let's wait until you figure out what you want to do, whatever that is. And if what he wants to do is keep throwing darts in Scottsdale and drinking Stellas and taking bong rips, like, go for it, man. Like, that's your life. I don't care. It doesn't bother me one bit. But if you have an opportunity to make an impact on people's lives because of all the stuff you've shared with us, well, then, like, give us a little bit more about why you wanted to share it or where you want to go or what you want to do. And maybe the story is he's not ready for that yet. And if that, his sister said that right in the documentary. Yep. So if he's not ready for that, that's okay. Again, he doesn't owe me anything. He doesn't owe anybody anything, but he has an opportunity to do something with parts of that story. And if he wants to take advantage of it, he can. And I just felt like there was a lot of questions at the end where I go, man, like, well, where are you and what do you want to do and where do you want to go and what makes you happy and what is motivating to you and what did you learn about that? Because he's like, man, I wish I think he goes like, well, I maybe I was acting too much like a frat guy back in the day. And then like it cuts to him like drinking beers and throwing darts. I'm like, nothing's changed. Like you're still, which again is totally fine. Like I would love to be sitting around drinking beers and throwing darts right now. My 6 and 7-year-old would and wife may not like that, but I would love to be doing it. So I don't know. That's all it really was. Again, he doesn't owe me anything. I just felt sort of unsatisfied at the end. And these guys get paid to do these documentaries. Manti Te'o documentary felt kind of similar. Yeah. Like the Jordan documentary, Jordan had final edit on the Jordan documentary. And it always kind of feels weird when the guy sitting in the chair has final control over what's being shown to people. So, I mean, there's a whole another chapter and I can't wait to hear from him about it, but it certainly didn't deliver that in the documentary. Otherwise, it was a lot of fun to relive the whole thing. And, God, it would have been interesting to see, had all the rules been in place today for NIL, does that affect Johnny's path? That is the more interesting question.
We got to hit a break. I know I'm supposed to ask you about the Oilers. Can you stick around for the last 2 minutes of this hour?
Yeah.
All right, we'll hit a break. We'll do that, and we'll push around Aggie Land a little bit later. All right, it's TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers.
I'm Chelsea Reber with your community calendar on The Zone, brought
Sorry
to
for
you
going
by
long.
Southern Tire Mart. The Brazos Valley Community Band invites interested musicians to their first rehearsal of the season on Monday, August 14th at 7:15 p.m. at Covenant Presbyterian Church. More information is online at brazosvalleycommunityband.org. The Brazos Valley Veterans Memorial Board is accepting applications to add military veteran names to the Wall of Honor. The veteran may be living, deceased, or active and does not have to be a Brazos Valley resident. Visit bvvm.org for more information. The Brazos Valley Long-Term Care Ombudsman Program seeks volunteers throughout the Brazos Valley to advocate for residents living in nursing homes and assisted living facilities. No prior experience is needed and free training is provided. Visit bvcog.org for more information. Southern Tire Mart carries the major brands you trust, like Toyo, Yokohama, Bridgestone, Firestone, and Michelin. That's your community calendar. I'm Chelsea Reber on The Zone.
For over a century, AM radio has evolved to meet the needs of our community. More than 80 million listeners depend on AM radio each month. It's also the backbone of the emergency alert system, keeping us safe in dangerous times. A new bill in Congress would ensure this free, reliable service remains in cars. Text AM to 52886 and tell Congress to support the AM radio for every vehicle act.
Message and data rates may apply. You may receive up to 4 messages a month, and you may text STOP to stop.
This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
David Nuño here to talk about how much I love Legacy Workspaces, located in the heart of College Station on Longmire. Let me tell you something. Big box office spaces done, finish, done. Legacy Workspaces is leading the way in modern, affordable, impressive officing. So many great amenities like reserved parking, free office supplies on demand, impressive conference rooms to host your clients, and some of the best coffee in town. Ay que rico, repeatedly voted best of the Brazos Valley. Visit legacyworkspaces.com and leave your legacy
today.
Since 2003, Surviving and Thriving has raised over $1 million to support local breast health initiatives, cancer patients, and survivors. This year, Pink Alliance is leading the celebration with the 20th anniversary of Surviving and Thriving Cancer Awareness Luncheon, October the 4th at the College Station Hilton, sponsored by Texas A&M Health and St. Joseph Health, featuring keynote speaker Kelly Corrigan, New York best-selling author and breast cancer survivor. Table sponsorships are limited, so act now by visiting their website, survivingandthriving.org.
On the Louis Bellina Show, presented by B&B Automotive and Superior Auto Service, I love me some college football. Sure, we talk Texas A&M, but we also talk around the country with Mitch Light of The Athletic, and of course, the SEC, with Braden Gall of 440 Sports and ESPN Radio. It is the Louis Bellina Show, Monday through Friday, 11 to 2. If you love college football, you might like me too. Join me weekdays here on the Zone 1150 AM and 93.7 FM.
All right, short segment here because we're up against the clock. Let's go to the hotline again, Braden Gall. So I see the Oilers logo in the background. That belongs to my city of Houston, by the way.
Oh, it does it?
But I know you wanted to bring something up.
No, it does not belong to you technically and legally. We own it here in Nashville. Now, I am not a Titans fan, so let's just, as you can see, I'm a fan of another team.
Yes.
I got the shareholder. I got the share of stock like right over here over my shoulder. Completely meaningless $400 piece of paper. No, they're going to play in the old Oilers uniforms, and I think more Titans fans like the old Oilers uniforms better than the Titans uniforms. They like the old logos better. They're going to sell. They've sold an insane amount of merch. I don't know what I like the old, we claim the Oilers history. We claim Warren Moon and Ernest Givens and Haywood Jeffries, and we claim all that stuff in terms of the history books, but it was negotiated. Bud Adams got to take it. He got to own it. He got to keep it. And so they're going to bring it back for 2 games this year. It is red hot in this city. People love it. And I hope they wear it against the Houston Texans, just as a fan of trolling.
Well, I will tell you this. I think the history belongs to the city because Earl Campbell ran touchdowns at the Astrodome. Warren Moon threw those touchdowns at the Astrodome, not in Nashville. We can't really claim Steve McNair. We had him for a year. We can't claim him, really, right? You guys get to do that. Hey,
we should sell it back. I'm okay with that.
Dude, I'd be wearing it daily. Braden, thank you, brother.
Yeah, man. Good to talk to you.
See you, brother. Braden Gall there. We'll come back with Around Aggieland and Billy Lucci next on TexAgs.
The SEC football preview is here. Tune in each weekday afternoon at 4:30 for the long-anticipated but never duplicated SEC preview. Our SEC preview is brought to you by First Financial Bank, MSC Opus, and the Fly Fishing Roundup. We'll shine the spotlight on one team per day, culminating in the most listened-to radio segment in the world, our predictions August 25th. Phone the neighbors, wake the kids, tell them the SEC preview's underway weekday afternoons at 4:30 on The Zone.
Does your bank know your first name? At Normandy State Bank, they do. Normandy State Bank is locally owned, controlled, and operated. This local personal touch means banking decisions are made on site the same day you request it. Normandy State makes banking easy. They're open Saturdays, offer state-of-the-art online banking, bill paying, fund transfers, check and statement images. Normandy State, where customer service is their priority. Normandy State Bank, rock solid. Member FDIC.
Howdy, Ags. Grohalski Sausage in Bremen has been making their famous homemade Polish sausage using the original family recipe since 1952. Homemade smoked bacon, beef sticks, jerky, and summer sausage using authentic family recipes. Make Grohalski Sausage your #1 source for your next holiday party or tailgate. Grohalski Sausage offers custom deer processing with the same quality craftsmanship they started 3 generations ago. Aggie owned and operated, Grohalski Sausage is on Main Street in Bremen. Gig 'em.
We're here with Jackson Rollo from Rollo Insurance. And Jackson, you guys have been around for a long time. You're the very best at what you do. But I ask you, why Rollo Insurance?
Well, we've been growing recently with over 45 offices in multiple states. But we haven't lost who we are. We're still super focused on being hyper-local and involved in the communities in which you're going to find a Rollo Insurance office. And we offer products like home, auto, life, health, and business insurance from some of the top carriers in our industry.
You name it, they do it. Visit RolloInsurance.com.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel you attract people who tend to be compulsive or abusive?
Do you have money problems because of someone else's drinking?
Are you afraid or embarrassed to bring your friends home?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
More than half of all adults have a family history of alcoholism.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too. Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Love Aggie football? Sure. Star Wars? Pork chops? Or whiskey with a friend? Listen to Louie. Weekdays 11 to 2 on the Zone, 1150 AM. And 93.7 FM. This is KZNE College Station Bryan.
Gotcha, didn't I? TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Hour number 3, Billy Lucci should be here momentarily, but you know what? Because I love going around Aggieland, visiting all my good friends. Let's do that, presented by Normandy State Bank. Normandy State Bank, rock solid banking. The website is normandystatebank.com. Kay Nagley.
David, is there someone behind me?
Yes, Kennedy Cavan is behind you.
She stole my seat. And I'm stealing it back so I can do my job. But anyways, she's distracting me back here. I'm trying to work hard, but it's just not happening.
I believe we have a bunch of stuff happening. Wait, when are the kids officially moved back yet? They're basically getting here?
This week is like right around the time people start coming back, so traffic is ramping back up again. But
is there a party tonight to go to?
Oh gosh, yeah. If there was, we'll invite you, David, for sure.
I'll be there. Does it start at 6 p.m.?
I don't know about all that. That's a
Does
little
it end
early.
at 9 p.m.?
Yeah, you would like that, wouldn't you?
That'd be an awesome party.
That would be a great party.
Protein shakes instead of beer?
Is that your style of party?
Unfortunately, at this age, yes.
Oh man, that's an interesting one. Anyways, traffic should be ramping up even more this weekend because summer graduations, and Texas A&M is set to graduate 16 student athletes. So great stuff there. And then our very own Katie Smith, who used to play soccer at A&M, who is now our social media girl, she will be graduating with a master's in sports management.
Congratulations.
So congrats to Katie. I know.
Smart.
Right? I know. I was like, heck yeah, Katie. I got this email and I was like, look at this.
I believe Aggie Soccer tweeted about it as well. I think I saw that out there.
Yeah, she's just killing it right now on every front. So continuing on, only 22 days till football, we have some other watch lists going out. So Edgerrin Cooper was selected to the Butkus preseason watch list that was announced Thursday morning, and that annually goes to the top linebacker in the nation. And then Damani Richardson was named to the Paycom Jim Thorpe Award preseason watch list that is annually given to the best defensive back in college football. So honestly, both of those guys are very deserving of those things. A little update on some Aggie basketball. They have been competing in the Bahamas against some international competition. Game 1, they beat Raw Elite Talent from the Bahamas 100-49. So, like that score, Solomon Washington actually led the team in scoring with 17 points and won a perfect 7 for 7. So, pretty impressive out of Solo going into his sophomore year. And then Game 2, A&M beat, excuse my pronunciation of this, but BC Zalgiris Kaunas.
Yes, BC Zalgiris Kaunas.
Something like that.
I don't
okay.
know. I just
yeah.
followed what you said.
That's what it looks like reading it. They beat them 89-59, and Wade Taylor and Tyrese Radford, no shocker there, both scored 15 points and led the team. So awesome. And I believe they will play another game. Need to find out when that is. We've had limited coverage over this, so do our best to find that out. And some more men's basketball
By the way,
news.
I
Go ahead.
believe Buzz said that in these games he was going to allow some of the other players to play a lot more. So, and they're
Get
still
more minutes.
those dudes are still scoring a bunch of points.
Wade Taylor and Boots are still absolutely crushing it. Some more basketball news. Was announced this week that A&M will open play at the ESPN Events Invitational over Thanksgiving weekend with Penn State.
Yeah.
That should be a little interesting matchup we have there. I know they'll want to seek some revenge from what happened during March Madness. So
Well, that was, if you remember leading up to that game, we all do this. We talk ourselves into why we think they're going to be great and why they could lose a game, and then every sport, right? I remember thinking, wow, everything that Penn State does well, goes against what A&M tries to do, right? So they don't get fouled a lot, right? Like A&M lives, they don't foul a lot, I should say. A&M lives by going to the foul line. A&M wasn't very good at stopping the three. They hit a lot of threes, all the things. And then A&M played against them and shot a bunch of threes, which wasn't ideal. But hopefully they get that revenge.
they do not have. I'm forgetting his name, but now the guy who shot all the threes and made them, he's no longer with Penn State. So hopefully he won't kill us again. Forgetting his name right now. But
8
anyways,
threes.
that was they were on fire. I remember watching that. And I was just like, man, what, So hopefully, I have a feeling Thanksgiving weekend there will be some revenge there. But continuing in that tournament, the Aggies will flip.
Ashton Funk, right? Not
Ashton Funk.
No,
yes.
not Ashton Funk.
Or Funk, something Funk.
Yeah, but not Ashton.
His last
Obviously
name
not
is
Ashton
Funk for
Yeah.
sure. The Aggies will face either Florida Atlantic or Butler in the second round, and then the final round they will face either Iowa State, VCU, Boise State.
Andrew Funk.
Andrew Funk, that is, yes. And then, or Virginia Tech. So Buzz could be getting a little rematch or a match with his old team. Moving on to some baseball news, Jim Schlossnagle and company have perhaps added the best player in the transfer portal, and former Stanford two-way player Braden Montgomery has committed to Texas A&M. He is a career .315 hitter with 35 homers, and he comes to Aggieland with 2 years of eligibility. So quite the pickup over there at Bluebell. That's a good one.
I am a huge fan of the pickup and the momentum that they have going on over there. Anything else?
Yeah, I got one more thing. Aggie soccer will play their second and final exhibition before season officially kicks off. That will be tonight against Texas State at 7 p.m. So make sure to go head over to Ellis and check it out.
Thank you very much, Miss Nagley.
Thank you.
Hi, Billy.
And this guy with his chin strap Matt Salvaggio starter kit beard gonna walk in here, or he's caught between that and the Notre Dame leprechaun. And I'm going to say, hey, Zane, just good morning. How are you? He's head to toe Dodgers, like he's just, at fantasy camp at 6 years old. And he's going to comment on my shoes being untied. Well, I'm a little late, Zane. He's got glasses on backwards on his hat.
Should I get have fly balls?
Which
later?
to me is the worst look a human being can have at any level.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, he comments on my shoes being, which they are untied, which is ridiculous, while wearing rainbow-colored Nikes that look like, what was that little toy in the 80s? Not Light Bright, but there was
not Star Bright. Yeah, yes.
There was like my sister had it. It was like a
black screen with a little light.
No, that's Light Bright.
Oh.
But there was this toy that my sister had. It was real popular in the 80s. Like every girl would have it. It was the girl was rainbow colored. Maybe it was Rainbow Bright.
Rainbow Bright.
Yeah.
Rainbow
Dressed
Bright.
over here like Rainbow Bright.
God, Rainbow Bright. I had a crush on her.
By the way, I've got an amazing picture from Telluride where someone took it where I'm walking quite literally through a rainbow. Look, this guy's so excited. He's getting attention right now. Happy Friday for Richard Zane. He had his name mentioned on radio.
He's Mr. Baseball. You know that the SEC network crew went to the Nashville minor league baseball park.
Yeah.
How would he do in that 95-mile-per-hour fastball?
There's a lot of debate because I went to dinner with them that night. Why'd everything go blackout? Did the Rainbow Man step in and decide that he's about? It was too maroon for him.
We've had some technical difficulties this morning.
Okay, so I kind of like it. It kind of looks like old Netflixy.
It does look a little. I like the
So-
look. We can change the look.
Anyway, I'm walking through the rainbow, and I didn't know I was even doing it. One of our buddies was standing like uphill and took the picture.
Yeah.
And as it comes out, there's literally a full ground-to-ground rainbow as I'm walking through it. You know what the problem is?
What's that?
For some reason, and I just opened myself up to this, you know, you don't know what to do with your hands sometimes.
Mhm.
Like you were talking about that this morning. For some reason, and I did it, and it wasn't a longhorn, but it was like a rock, you know, like I was like, you know, and I, you know, one of those. And so in this rainbow picture, a real actual
Rainbow.
pot of gold
Yeah.
rainbow that I'm walking right through, and it comes out in the picture just perfect. It looks photoshopped. I'm doing, so maybe we should Photoshop like off my pinkies where I'm like going like
Number one.
because I gotta, that picture has to be seen.
But
There's
the but.
Yeah.
How you been, buddy?
There's always a but.
Always a but.
How have I been? I was very good until, you know.
The whole Richard thing.
Yeah.
All right. I would
One
like.
of my Longhorn friends is sitting there telling me what a good asset certain someone is, and then I just like stirring them up, and they're like, "Well, they're an asset at least on the recruiting front," and I just reply and I go ... until the sanctions hit.
Oh.
And just leave it hanging
Yeah.
out there, and I'm just kidding, but I'll act serious until, you know, just to make them go, "Oh, well, I hope he doesn't know anything." But it was a total joke.
So nothing.
Great get for the Longhorns. You get
Mhm.
Colin Simmons. Do I think he's as good as, say, like some of these pass rushers like the Myles Garretts to come out of the state? No. Do I think he's elite? Yes. I think that's a hell of a get. Do I think it's a guy that A&M would have loved to have had and could have really used because they need more of those types? Sure. Do I think that recruitment's over? No. For Aggies listening, can A&M get back in on him and Caden Durham, the running back? Unlikely, but that's one of those deals where you better go out on the field and, you know, go 10-2 or better and hope, you know, you beat LSU head to head and a team like Texas. You know, if they go through any sort of struggles, they're going to have some real issues because everybody's playing the NIL game right now. Like I've said all along, A&M and Texas were going to be big winners in the NIL front. When you start losing games like A&M did last year, that stuff doesn't matter. There's a reason A&M went from the number 1 class to like a top 15 class. And it wasn't because, they had limited numbers. That played a little bit of a role, but they still probably be outside the top 10. So you fall from 1 to out just, you know, around like say 10 or a little lower. That's if they had numbers. Sure, some kids were worried about competition, but sure, some kids were sitting there going, well, we were expecting to hear more on the NIL front because of all these rumors that were out there. So there was some disappointment early on, first visit or two, and maybe some of these guys didn't return. That did affect everything. But nothing affected it more. No single thing affected it more than losing to App State, struggling, you know, by midseason on, and some of the games they lost down the stretch, you know, winning only two SEC games last year. Nothing affected it more than that. And so teams like A&M, Texas, and anyone else that's recruiting really well at this point in the season, even if you're, you know, and I know, you know, no one's supposed to have these guys, even if they think they've got NIL situations, you're going to lose guys if you don't win games. But the interesting thing is, I think this year is so similar for the Aggies and Longhorns because they both have to win. Both coaches have to win. I saw a deal the other day that had Sark way higher on the hot seat than Jimbo.
Is that right?
And that would have had to do, obviously, you're factoring in the contract at A&M, so I'm sure that person was going, well, even though Jimbo's in year 6. And so
You could see them moving on from Sark if they're.
No, not at all. But I could see him, if they lost, I don't think they will, but if they went 8-4 and they lost to Kansas State, Tech, Bama, and somebody else out of the other 9 games. They were 8-1 in those other 9. You know, Tech, people are expecting them to be better. K-State, they're typically tough, and they won the Big 12 last year.
Yeah.
But TCU and the other 7 if they dropped one of those and they went 8-4, I think he'd be on a flaming hot seat going into the SEC. And then what? Hey, we got a pretty damn good team. Oops, we went 8-4. We were really good, but damn, we played some really good teams and we ended up 8-4. You know, we lost to Georgia. We lost at Kyle Field to a really good A&M team. You know, like, no, nothing this year, but I think 9-3 for A&M would be win a bowl game, and it's a really nice bounce back season for Jimbo and the Aggies. 9-3 for Texas on that schedule is a bare minimum. I think the bare minimum for Sark and them, they have to appear in the Big 12 title game. They have to. Anything less than that, their fans are not going to be, nor should they be happy. They will have, I think A&M will have more talent, and this is why Jimbo has to win and A&M has to win too, because I think they'll have more talent than every team they play this year, save Bama and perhaps LSU. That will call that a push. So 10 of 12 games, they'll have more talent. But that talent gap, because you're in the SEC, it's not massive. Yes, they do, but out of the guys on the field for Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Arkansas with Jefferson and Rocket Sanders and some of those transfers, even Auburn, just raw talent and what they did through the portal. I'm just going down the list here. You don't have a massive talent advantage over those teams. Miami, when I'm talking raw talent, is A&M more talented than every one of those teams I just mentioned? Yes, they are. And that's why I think they should win the majority of those games. But when you look at Texas and what they've got recruited and what they've got in terms of stars and, you know, hype, the Worthies, the Ewers, the Sanders of the world, that gap between them and the teams on their schedule. So there's only one team they play with as much or more talent. It's Bama. And they roster-wise, Bama has more talent. But there's only one. But those other ones, including Oklahoma, I think the gap of Texas and OU and K-State and TCU and Tech, Oaks, I don't think they play Oak State, but it's massive. So all those new teams coming in, it is a massive gap. So if you can't be one of the two best teams in that conference, you've failed miserably this year as a head coach. And then you start looking at his whole career. With Jimbo and A&M, it's about you have to bounce back because what happened last year, and really even 8-4, you're going, we keep recruiting this talent with the goal of competing for and winning an SEC West and ultimately an SEC title, getting into playoffs. 8-4, you know, that type of stuff does not get you there. So 5-7 goes without saying, but you want to see A&M make that jump. So that 9-win number is very interesting to me for both programs.
What about Venables in Oklahoma? Is he on the hot seat if they have another 7-win season, whatever? They had 6 last year.
They were 6-7. You know, I've heard a lot of hype about what they went out and got. Portal, you know, they're getting, you know, they're doing better in recruiting. And if they go out and, you know, 7-5 after going, what were they? They were 6-6. They lost a bowl game. If they go from 6-6 to 7-5 in that Big 12.
And get embarrassed by Texas again.
And get embarrassed by Texas again, which I would put a lot of money on will happen. I mean, I don't think it'll be 49-0. I think OU, but I just think Texas is going to be noticeably better. OU doesn't have the players that Texas does. And that happened just seemingly like overnight. Now, look, a large part of it, you know, they should have had Caleb Williams and what was I forget the receiver's name that went out there with them. Mario Williams, was it? And like, so they've lost a lot, but it happened literally overnight, that swing. And that's a credit to how Texas is recruiting, but also what's wrong with OU. If they only improve by like a game, I don't think they'd fire him after 2 years. It's just so hard to do that. But I think he'd be on the hottest seat in college football going into the first year in the SEC. And to go from Big 12 to SEC, how are they going to overcome that? What, on a good year, they're going to go 8-4? and go from 6-6 to 7-5 to 8-4. OU's got to win a lot this year, and they got to really bounce back. And to be honest, they still should. Outside of Texas, they don't play anyone in the non-conference. So there you're hitting a 3-0 right there. And outside of Texas, there's still not an it's why, if you're OU, would you say, oh, we can't, we shouldn't be expected to beat Kansas State, right, TCU, Tech, Baylor, Oak State, Iowa State, Kansas, West Virginia. So they still don't have an excuse for not going, in my opinion, on that schedule like 10-2. So really interesting all the way around. And this stuff really matters now for Texas A&M. How those teams do, how LSU does. That's the triangle. That triangle choked the life out of A&M. See what I did there, Mr. MMA? Yeah, a triangle choke. That choked the life. That was like an anaconda. They choked the life out of A&M. Bob Stoops, Mac Brown, Nick Saban, all at the same time, same little time period they arrived. Those three programs just, and A&M, and RC was behind on facilities. Look, he had such a long tenure there. The newness factor, A&M didn't have anymore, and they certainly didn't have facilities. And it just it was like everything was built up around them, and all of a sudden you couldn't see the sun anymore. That didn't even count Mike Leach and Tech. They went from Spike Dykes to Mike Leach, and that thing took off. But those three, the difference is now, last season, hopefully, it needs to be an anomaly, but that notwithstanding, A&M's established. Now, what are they established as? I don't know, but they're respected. They're recruiting at a high level. They have a national championship head coach. The facilities, instead of being light years behind, are light years ahead as we look across the street. So it shouldn't be a problem. But you better pay real close attention to Brian Kelly, Steve Sarkisian, and Brent Venables, and you better keep up and even stay ahead in some instances of those teams, because somebody out of those four, if history says anything, is going to stink, especially when they're all in the same conference. Somebody out of those four is going to struggle. If I'm betting money on it, right now it's Oklahoma.
Great. Let's hit a break. We'll come back with 23 and 23, number 11, Shamar Turner. Right now, let's talk a little bit about the Association of Former Students. Speaking of the non-conference games, we got that Miami game. If you're interested in going to that one and spending the weekend at a South Beach hotel with a group of other Aggies while receiving special access to a tailgate, look no further than the Traveling Aggies Miami Football Weekend, September 8th through the 10th. You can join other Aggies in Miami to watch the Aggie football team beat the hell out of the University of Miami. A 3-day, 2-night weekend package includes hotel accommodations at the Hyatt-centric South Beach, Miami, just steps away from a variety of restaurants, bars, and entertainment. An evening welcome event and tour, access to the official Traveling Aggies pregame tailgate, round-trip transportation to the game, and much, much more. The Association of Former Students Traveling Aggies program hosts over 70 trips a year, including cruises, safaris, tours by trains, a wide variety of other affordable options. To learn more about the Miami Football Weekend, visit tx.ag/MiamiTrip23, or learn more about all the trips hosted by the Traveling Aggies, visit tx.ag/TravelingAggies.
I'm Sean Burnett with your Aggie Sports Minute on The Zone. This update is brought to you by Hilco Metal Roofing and Supply. Call 936-825-0500 or click hillcosupply.com. More Aggie football players have earned spots on preseason watch lists. Damani Richardson was named to the Jim Thorpe watch list, given to the best defensive back in college football. Edgerrin Cooper was selected to the Butkus watch list, recognizing the top linebacker in the nation. Quarterback Connor Wigman fielded plenty of questions on the offense earlier this week. He said the game plan is to get the ball to his playmakers at wide receiver.
That's the plan for sure. Give them the ball and let them go make plays. That's that simple. So I was trying to tell Evan the other day, just throw a hitch and let him go 60 yards. That's the best feeling as a quarterback.
As a freshman in 5 games, he threw 8 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. He was also asked about his decision to come play at Texas A&M.
I grew up a college football fan. I didn't really have a specific school, but what got me here is, they treated me like family, just the whole coaching staff. Everyone in College Station. It was a different feel than wherever else I was visiting and what other schools I was talking to. And I sat down with my dad, and he just told me, this is a 4-year decision. It's a 40-year decision. And just be able to get into the Aggie network and to go and get my degree and get my Aggie ring, I mean, I feel like that's going to be a huge thing, especially living in the state of Texas.
The season kicks off September 2nd against New Mexico at Kyle Field. And that's your Aggie Sports Minute, brought to you by Hilco Metal Roofing and Supply. On The Zone, I'm Sean Burnett.
If you're on the job day in and day out, you know living with pain in your knees, hips, back, or shoulders is miserable. The good news, QC Kinetics gets it. They understand guys like you.
They don't have the luxury of taking time off. They want to keep working. We are built for those guys that want to keep working and want to stay active. So the vast majority of who we see are the blue-collar guys like me and you.
QC Kinetics uses biologic therapies, just like pro athletes have used for years, to get you lasting pain relief with no surgery.
I want you to continue working. I want you to continue exercising. The joints are made to be moved.
The treatments at QC Kinetics are fast and non-invasive.
It's not a lot of time commitment on your part. There is no downtime or recovery time. You don't need short-term disability with what we do. We want to keep you active.
Call QC Kinetics now to set up your free no-obligation consultation. Learn how you can get real pain relief and stay on the job.
Call QC Kinetics 979-452-6000. That's 979-452-6000. 979-452-6000.
You can hear Houston Astros baseball all season, all postseason long on The Zone, 1150 AM and 93.7 FM, and select games on Gospel 97.3 FM. Astros baseball brought to you by Kelly Burt Dozer. All season long, Houston Astros baseball on The Zone and select games on Gospel 97.3 FM. Astros baseball brought to you by Kelly Burt Dozer.
And we are back. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. David Nuño here with Billy Lucci on the program. Friday, we will return to practice later on this afternoon, so be looking forward to being out there and seeing all the good stuff going on. Right now, we continue on with 23 and 23, presented by the Charge Apparel, Aggie-owned and operated premier polos and tees made in the USA. 12% of total sales are donated to organizations supporting veterans and mental health initiatives. You can visit them at thechargeapparel.com or find them on Instagram, The Charge Apparel, or Twitter, The Charge Brand. Number 11, Billy, is Shamar Turner, a guy that I know you've spoken about quite a bit this offseason because of the trajectory, the growth that you've been hearing about. And I think I'm speaking for you here. You expect them to have a very nice year.
I'm a big fan. I was a big fan of Shamar. I thought they had to sign him. That was such an important in-state battle. When teams like Texas was trying to get momentum, Oklahoma, he could have gone to Alabama, LSU, anywhere he wanted to. The fact that he was a DeSoto guy as well. I thought it was a big recruiting get for A&M the year before they signed all those great D linemen in that number one class. But Shamar Turner is a beast. He was a beast as a true freshman. He was a beast against LSU last year. He's been a beast so far in fall camp. He is that in-between guy, much like, say, a David Hicks, who's a true freshman. But Shamar now is a junior. We know what David Hicks was rated. Shamar Turner was rated close to that, and I thought similar players 2 years ago. So this guy is now going into year 3 in your program, okay? So he's going into year 3, and he's a 300-pound, I don't know what he exactly weighs. I'd be interested, but I think he's been around 300, who can play. There you see him. He can play end or tackle. He can play end in the three-man front. He's actually built like NFL build for that. Mm-hmm. He's like an NFL version of Michael Bennett sized guy, but like what Bennett was in the NFL. Bennett was a smaller guy than Turner on the way up, like at this point in his career. But he's perfectly built, and I know people hate hearing it, but there is a place for three-man front in games. I agree with everyone that we just don't want to see it near as much when so much of your talent is on the D-line as opposed to linebacker still. But there is a place for it, and it is an advantage against A, certain offenses, or B, certain situations, matchups, points in games, specific downs. Shamar Turner could be lethal as an end in an odd front, but he's also lining up when he's lining up as a fourth. He can line up in a 4-3 or 4-2-5, whatever you want to call it. He can line up at end or inside. He's equally as effective. So I think you'll see him a lot at end this year. I don't think we talk about him enough when you're talking about that rotation on the outside, but he is extremely physical, extremely explosive. He's experienced now, and he's a high round NFL size, athleticism, twitch, raw talent. He's a high round NFL guy in those regards. Now the question is, as his playing time increases, will he start showing that on the field? Because that physical skill set, he's got first team all SEC talent. Now, in order to get there, can you separate from a crowded pack of really talented defensive linemen? And there's a lot of guys that are going to try their best to keep that from happening. And so if you slip up, there are multiple others that will step in and cut into your playing time. That goes for Fadil Diggs. That goes for Shamar Stewart. That goes for, whether it's Enoch White or Silla trying to get playing time. Overton. That goes for, those guys on the inside as well. So if you got to have a good fall camp from August until game 1, then you've got to play well in game 1 against New Mexico. You got to carry that through Miami. There's going to be a guy or two on that D-line, and we kind of expect that to be McKinley. Outside of him, there are a lot of guys that there's going to be one, if not two of them, that kind of say, hey, coach, I need to be on the field more than everybody else because I'm making plays and I'm impacting games. We got a ton of talent. I'm part of that talent, but I'm making plays and I'm changing games out there. Somebody's going to do that, and I don't know who it's going to be yet. But if you're asking me to bet money on certain guys, one of the ones I would really think about putting my money on would be Shamar Turner.
What about having so many guys? Like the numbers weren't there statistically for the defense last year, but let's say the defense does turn that corner that we're expecting. We still will. There's not going to be somebody who probably has double-digit sacks. Maybe there is. I don't know. But I'm saying when you have that much talent, like the wide receivers, you have that many guys getting balls, the numbers may not jump out at you, but the production will.
Yeah, I think as a unit, this defensive line will be spectacular. They need to be. There's no excuse not to be. I just named all those names. We're not just talking about what their star rankings were in high school and the fact that the whole country recruited most of the guys that will be on the field for you. And the ones that you don't say that about, last time we saw Fadil Diggs, he was getting 4 or 5 sacks in 2 games against Bama and South Carolina. Isaiah Rakes, going into year 4, has played a lot of football. Those are the lower recruited guys. Then the rest of them are either 5 stars or close to it. Across the board, first team, second team, and even some instances third team. Now you've got experience to go with that. These guys in this unit should dominate. And it's like I was just saying, I don't know who it'll be. And McKinley as an inside guy is probably, you're right. He's not going to be like a 10-sack guy. He could be a heavy tackle for loss guy. So when you're talking about stats, those tackles, TFLs, sacks, those are, hurries. I think Shamar is a guy who get to the quarterback a handful of times, but again, not a edge rushing. Man, a tackle can't block him by himself because he bends the edge. He's like, Von Miller or Myles Garrett, where they look like they're, turning a corner in a race car.
Right.
But I think Shamar could be really impactful in the backfield, if that makes sense. That combine like tackles for loss, add in a few sacks. But I do think it'll be by committee. That 18-sack total from last year, I think should and needs to get shattered. But I also think that, like I said, somebody's going to rise up. Do I think Shamar Turner rises up and collects 8 or 10 sacks? Probably not, because he's more of like a Leal type of player.
Right.
But DeMarvin was getting up near that, actually. But if there is a 10 sack guy, I'll probably lean towards it being somebody else. I don't know who or where that comes from, though. And that's where I wish.
Could it be Diggs?
I mean, hell, he had 4 against South Carolina and Alabama in his last two games last year.
Why not?
He's 40% there in less than 8 quarters of football against 2 SEC teams, one of which was, probably the second or third best team in that conference last year. So why not would be a good question.
Yep.
If you're betting money on anyone to do it,
Probably be Fidel.
Probably be him because, and then Eni White intrigues the heck out of me. He was hurt a lot last year, and I don't know if Durkin finds a role with their LT Overton intrigues me at a lighter weight there. LT, I think, did a really smart thing. I think he just did it to get in great shape and be the best player he could be, but I think he put himself in kind of a different bucket than like Shamar Turner, Shamar Stewart, some of these, Hicks is a guy I mentioned. These ends that are like the bigger, more physical, versatile, inside-out type guys. And I thought that's where he was headed, being so big as a true freshman. And he went the other direction, which I think, will help his chances of maybe getting those reps and if he can prove he can get to the quarterback, then great.
All right, let's hit a break. Let's talk Costa Vida right now. You should go check them out there in South College Station. Wonderful food there. If you go for breakfast, get the breakfast tacos, get some coffee, and have a little morning meeting there. Stay there for a couple hours, and then boom, it's almost lunchtime. You're like, well, I'm going to stick around and get me some quesadillas there, a little tortilla soup, some sweet pork quesadillas, as Dalton likes to get there. The chips and queso there are phenomenal. It is Fresh Mex done the right way, right? Holly brought this vision to South College Station, and she wanted some real good, fresh Mexican food. And it's not Tex-Mex. It's a little different. It's Fresh Mex. It's fantastic. You're going to love all the options that they have out there. And they got Taco Happy Hour Monday through Friday. Buy 2 grilled chicken or sweet pork tacos and get 1 for free. And on Mondays, they have a 15% student discount valid with student ID. Cannot be combined with other offers out there. And as always, they're Aggie owned and operated. 4501 Mills Park Circle in College Station. Again, that is 4501 Mills Park Circle in College Station. It's Costa Vida. Go check it out.
The TexAgs way. If you come at the king, you best not miss. It's TexAgs Radio with Lucci and Nuño.
From WTAW, this is a news update on the zone. College Station police report a bicyclist who was struck by a car last night suffered a traumatic brain injury, a dislocated hip, and multiple lacerations. Officers arrested the driver on a felony criminal negligence charge of striking the 23-year-old bicyclist while he was in the middle of the crosswalk at Munson and University Oaks. According to the CSPD arrest report, the driver, 24-year-old Tristan Darius Clark of College Station, says he came to a complete stop and was accelerating quickly through the intersection when he saw the bicyclist. Clark taken to the hospital for evaluation before going to jail. He's held in lieu of a $5,000 bond. Bryan police this week arrest a College Station man on charges of shooting fireworks at officers the night of July 4th. BPD arrest reports say a mortar firework struck an officer, causing multiple burns. This took place in the area of MLK and Military Drive, which is a neighborhood between downtown Bryan and the city cemetery that has a history of fireworks being shot at officers. The man who was arrested, 20-year-old Nyman Drones, also being held on separate charges from College Station of evading and of resisting arrest, and he's awaiting 2 trials on misdemeanor charges of possessing marijuana. Drones jailed in lieu of bonds totaling $68,000. Next year's property tax rate in College Station proposed to go as high as possible without requiring an election. Due to new valuation and increased valuation in existing properties, that'll generate an additional $10 million. Public hearing will be held August 24th. The day after John Rainey's announcement that he is not seeking re-election to the Texas House District that includes most of Brazos County comes 3 announcements from candidates running for the Republican nomination for House District 14 next year. They are retired Brazos County Sheriff Chris Kirk, local businessman Larry Hodges, and former Representative Fred Brown, whose position was taken by Rainey when Brown moved outside the district. More news in English and Spanish is at WTAW.com. That's news on the zone.
You can hear Fightin' Texas Aggie football right here on the Zone 1150 AM and 93.7 FM, or online at radioaggieland.com, or you could tell Alexa, play Zone 1150. You know, I know Aggie football is more than just the game. It's the tailgate. It's grilling with neighbors and friends. It's sitting on the couch with your son, daughter, teaching them the traditions and getting them ready for their time at Texas A&M. Here on The Zone, it's more than just the game, too. We got the Zone Game Day show. It's thanks to TexAgs. It starts 3 hours before every Texas A&M game. We also have the Zone Call-In show, and it starts 30 minutes after every Aggie football home game. Spend your game day here on the Zone, 1150 a.m. and 93.7 FM. You can listen online at radioaggielin.com, and you can tell Alexa, play Zone 1150.
Welcome back, TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Hour number 3 of the program. Billy's still here with us for the remainder of the show. Billy, I started off the program with, I don't know, you'll probably disagree with me. I have more questions defensively than I have offensively. And that's not a shot at the defense either. I just have more questions there because I feel like the offensive questions will be resolved with the line just being better. Where would your questions lie today before we've seen them in action in a game? If you were to have questions about the team, where would they be?
I tend to agree with that big giant asterisk by the offensive line. Mm-hmm. It really almost sickened me Saturday or Sunday after the scrimmage how many people on message boards and even the group chats I'm in, which tells me that other boards it was way worse, which doesn't surprise me. But just panicking and just throwing this offensive line under the bus. And I'm sitting there going, I realized what everyone was doing, and they're doing it because they watched some guys lose one-on-ones to that defensive line we just spent 15 minutes talking about. That like got everybody, this one-on-one pass rush thing. A, Father's out right now. B, if you watch that whole practice, the offense did some nice things with the line. And you can look at it two ways. You could either go and say, hey, I'm scarred by last year. I'm never going to give Adazio the benefit of the doubt. I'm never going to give these players the opportunity to get better. Guys like Trey Zune that people, I think, are on message boards, not where it matters in that building, but they're just like, oh, he was no good. I'd like to see him get beat out. And you just, if you tell people facts, like, and I've tried to tell you all this, it wasn't an injury. It was several injuries the guy played through. Shoulder, knee, ankle. Like, now he's got just like any young player that's hurt, they have to prove they can stay healthy. But that guy actually should deserve some credit for the fact that he did play. When we talk about all those injuries that the whole team had and that he was out there the majority of the games, instead it's like nobody wants to listen or believe. So you can either say that and say, I'm never going to believe it until I see it. And I've heard you say that a lot. And I know you're not like of that mindset, but a lot of people do that. I won't believe it until I see it. I get that mindset.
I want to believe it.
Yeah, but there's a difference. Like, you want to believe it not because you're just some cockeyed optimist, but because you're putting reasoning behind it. Of,
absolutely.
Hey, this is why it should be better. And you combine that we're hearing that it's better from players, from coaches, from insiders that have told me before, like, hey, we stink at this position. I'm scared. We're going to get exposed. We're going to get exploited over years and years. And even those people are saying, yeah, they look a lot better. How good is that is where I say remains to be seen. Is that a top 5 O-line in the SEC? Because if it is, I really have almost no questions about the offense.
Did they perform at that level against LSU?
Yeah, that's the question. You know, can they continue to? Now, I know A-Chain was incredible in that game, but they did a hell of a job of blocking. You don't run for 300 or whatever it was as a team without a hell of a job of blocking. Mm-hmm. When Amari Daniels was in there, he was ripping off runs. So, with that said, I do have more questions about the defense because they need to stop the run better. They were gashed. not the D-line, but the run defense, to me, for a lot of the season was as bad as the O-line play. So there's that. I need to see guys develop at linebacker. I'm very concerned about depth there, and those guys just being better.
Mm-hmm.
Edgerrin, Chris Russell, Martrell Harris has to make a big jump. You know, you're going to have to see a true freshman or a transfer in J.D. Davis play a lot, be a key role. That's one of the positions where I don't think Andre White I had kind of given up on him being a playmaking difference maker, but that was one of the portal losses that hurt because he was experienced, depth, he was dependable. But do I think they can have better on the field this year? Yeah, but they need to. Like whether it was Andre White or whoever takes his place, Chris Russell has to be better, or he's just another Andre White. You know, and that's not a bad thing, but that's not good enough for this run defense to take a big jump. So linebacker has to be a lot better. So probably 2 guys have to emerge at a minimum. And that includes Russell. Like Chris should be good this year. He flashed it at times last year and was a pleasant surprise, but he still wasn't out there without making mistakes. And those linebackers, if you go back and watch tape, they get caught making wrong reads or being tentative. They were a huge part of why A&M gave up all those rushing yards. So he's got to be a lot better. So when I say a couple guys have to emerge minimum, he can be one of them. I'm not saying it's him and Edge and then 2 more. It's Edge and 2 more at a minimum. They need like 3 good ones. And at corner, I'm very concerned at corner. Depth-wise, somebody's got to step up. DeBerry, Grimes, Javon Thomas he really starting fall camp off strong. But somebody out of those guys need to step up. And Chappelle has to stay healthy and engaged and be as good as he can be. So, and then the pass rush, we talked about it. Like, I believe as an aggregate, they'll get to the quarterback, but who's coming off the edge? Who's going to be that deadly effective guy off the edge? Who's going to be that guy that threatens double-digit sacks, or at least in that 8 category where you're watching tape and you go, okay, we got to watch out for this guy. We might need to help our tackle because he might have a problem with him. Right now, I don't think that guy's there. I don't know who that is. There's a lot of options, so they could. So that to me is a lot more questions. So I agree with you. There are a lot more questions on defense. But I go back to 2 things. I go back to the talent, 3 things. I go back to talent. I go back to experience, and there's a lot of it. You look at McKinley, Edge, Chappelle, Rakes, Diggs.
A lot of football.
Damani Richardson. There's a lot of and then all those freshmen that are, Chris Russell's an experienced guy now. But all those guys that played really for the first time last year, Russell, Kerr, Gilbert, who's in year 3, but Bryce Anderson, Jacoby Matthews, Overton, Stewart, Turner, like so many of those guys, it was Nolan, it was their first year to really play a lot, whether they were true freshmen or second-year guys. All those guys now with that experience under their belt. And then the third thing is experience in Durkin's system. Nobody except the true freshmen and a couple, I mentioned J.D. Davis and the corner transfers. All these guys are now in year 2 of Durkin's system. And we have a recent example in this conference at a place that's been really bad at defense in Ole Miss. And they were bad his first year, and then they were good his second year.
They were really good, especially when we played them.
Yeah, and early in the year against Louisville, they were just flying around, just smashing people in the mouth, and he was going, man, this Ole Miss team's going to be really good. Now, they leveled off, but that jump from year 1 to year 2 under Durkin was pretty significant and spectacular. And so we have that to look at as a recent example of what he did. You've got a ton of experience, but also a lot of your inexperienced guys now have played. And, man, that talent level, I go back to, you can take all those questions and say they should still be really good on defense because you're working with too many talented players not to be. So Why do I think they're going to be a good defense? Yes. Do I have a few more questions there than offense? Yeah.
Just so you can hear it, my 3 questions were: can they block? To me, that answers the whole offense to me. If they block well, their offense is going to be high tier there in the SEC. Can they stop the run, which they couldn't do last year? They've got to be better there, and that includes those linebackers. And I said the last one, can they force turnovers? Because if they're able to get to the quarterback, they're going to rush some passes, and they'll be able to feast on that. So those were my 3.
I heard you. I agree.
Sorry.
Well, I mean, I just think I think this has been a long off season, and those things have been, and not by you, but everyone, myself, everyone, like just not just beaten into the ground, but just pummeled, just
Lamaliade.
It's beyond a Lamaliade, just an absolute throttling of these. Like, I got to see it to believe it, and it's offensive line, and we got to get a pass rush, and we're concerned about. Like, it's time.
But
that's why SEC Media Days could not have gotten here soon
But to
enough.
answer that, I think today what we did, though, was provide reasons why we believe they will be better. And it's not just because, I think they're going to be better. No, there's things that they have addressed, and that's the why. All right.
Yeah, I think there are question marks for this football team. But you go through every football team, including Alabama, in this league, and I think the teams with less question marks than A&M would be Georgia and probably LSU. And that's probably where you draw the line. And LSU is a team that A&M beat by 15 points the last time we saw them play. So I'm not putting them in the category of Georgia. But it's Georgia and LSU probably have less questions than A&M. And then the Tennessee. It may be Kentucky. But see, I heard Savage was grilling your ass today, by the way.
Was he?
You let him just put you on the skillet.
What did he do?
About Kentucky.
Oh, but I answered.
But you didn't answer the one way I thought you should have, to just shut him down. And he's sitting back there like he's the damn Wizard of Oz. Bronny's yelling at the top of his lungs. I can hear him on radio. I had to text Dalton, like, tell him to shut up. We can hear every word he's saying back there. But I would have just told Nick Savage, you were in no way trying to say they were going to beat Georgia or better. What we're talking about is, could they be the second team in the East? And that doesn't mean they're better than LSU or Bama or even A&M or whoever finishes third in the West. But when you're kind of just saying, man, I think they might be better than South Carolina and Tennessee this year. I think that's where most people are going when they talk up Kentucky. I don't think they're going to be elite, but I think they have less questions. Their O-line's a massive question because all that receiver and quarterback talent doesn't mean much if you can't block, and that's what we're talking about with A&M. But Kentucky has less questions than most. But A&M, I think, is in that top 4 or 5 when you go, who has the least amount of question marks?
All right, let's hit a break here.
Like he invented the question mark.
Hello.
You don't know what that is, do
No,
you?
I don't know. Is that from Austin Powers?
My mother was a relentlessly self-improving
Yes.
boulangerie owner from Belgium with a
That is
penchant
Austin
for
Powers.
buggery and webbed feet. Yeah.
Pretty good.
My father was a
Can you say Highway 21 in Caldwell in that line?
Highway 21 in Caldwell Country Chevrolet.
Yeah, that's a good place. I like that place.
Service is impeccable.
And you can also get great deals.
Amazing deals. A lot of TexAgs. Several of us have bought cars there.
It merged from
The penchant for buggery.
Austin Powers to Kermit the Frog, all in the same conversation. Simply call, click,
You
or
sound like that sometimes.
I do.
Some mornings you've got a lot of Kermit going.
Hello?
Caldwell
Kermit
Country.
the Frog would have a great experience at Caldwell Country.
He would have a great experience.
Probably buy a car from Miss Piggy while
Yeah,
he's there.
yeah. He'd trade in his older vehicle for a new one, get a great deal on that. He'd go there.
I got to get up. You make me feel like old.
All right. Caldwell Country Chevrolet, 15-minute drive. Short conversation away, but you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and do business with our friends there at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell. Online, CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com.
I'm Chelsea Reber with your community calendar on The Zone, brought to you by Southern Tire Mart. The Brazos Valley Community Band invites interested musicians to their first rehearsal of the season on Monday, August 14th at 7:15 p.m. at Covenant Presbyterian Church. More information is online at brazosvalleycommunityband.org. The Brazos Valley Veterans Memorial Board is accepting applications to add military veteran names to the Wall of Honor. The veteran may be living, deceased, or active and does not have to be a Brazos Valley resident. Visit bvvm.org for more information. The Brazos Valley Long-Term Care Ombudsman Program seeks volunteers throughout the Brazos Valley to advocate for residents living in nursing homes and assisted living facilities. No prior experience is needed and free training is provided. Visit bvcog.org for more information. Southern Tire Mart carries the major brands you trust, like Toyo, Yokohama, Bridgestone, Firestone, and Michelin. That's your community calendar. I'm Chelsea Reber on The Zone.
Are you looking for investment options that potentially outpace today's high inflation environment? Concerned about recent banking failures or the volatility of the stock and crypto markets? Call Caliber to learn how you can invest in commercial real estate investments right here in Bryan College Station that support the community while producing real returns for investors. Caliber, the wealth development company, partnering with the community to build a better tomorrow. 979-977-2950. That's 979-977-2950. The investments and services offered may not be suitable for all investors. You should seek advice from an independent financial advisor.
If you own construction equipment, you need preventative maintenance, and WPI has you covered with our new on-site service tech. This is Timothy Cornrup, your local branch manager at WPI. Regardless of your machine's make or model, WPI has the hoses, filters, fluids, and parts you need to keep your equipment running at maximum performance. For the best price in town on preventative maintenance and field service for every brand of construction equipment, put your trust in WPI. Highway 21 East at Marino Road, or click WPI.com.
At ASCO, we're on it, and Case IH Farmall tractors are on it too. For over 8 decades, America's farmers have counted on the little red tractor from Case IH, the Farmall, to help them make short work of their demanding chores. With horsepower ranging from 30 to 105, plus an army of attachments, you can tackle every chore on your to-do list, from hauling and mowing to loading and baling, and then some. Visit ASCO Equipment in Bryan to find a Case IH Farmall that's right for you. At ASCO, we're on it.
You can hear the Paul Feinbaum Show weekdays 2 to 4 here on The Zone. Presented by Polaris Fund Center. Paul Feinbaum is SEC Country. And Aggie Land is SEC Country too. Join Paul weekdays 2 to 4 here on The Zone. Polaris Fund Center, where you can get a $500 rebate on any 450 or 570 Model A TV. Or $2,000 cash back on a Polaris XP1000. Polaris Fund Center, where they sell and service fun, not tractors. The voice of the SEC. And you can hear Paul Feinbaum weekdays from 2 to 4 on The Zone.
TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here. It was
Going
out
this morning?
Well, he didn't have that much, but it was. He had
A little machismo.
a little open, like a little Razor Ramon-esque. Yeah, he looked good. Looked pretty
They
good.
did not look good if that was the case. 'Cause I'm watching, I'm listening, but I'm not really watching. So if that was the case, you don't say that looked good. That didn't.
It
certainly
actually
did not look good.
It wasn't great.
Yeah.
It was not phenomenal.
Yeah.
All right, we got practice later on today. We'll have some stuff up from that afterwards. Any closing thoughts here in the last 5 seconds?
No, 5 seconds. What the hell can I do in 5 seconds?
That's exactly what you can do. He's Billy. I'm David. We'll see you guys on Monday.
When it comes to your financial journey, Charles Schwab believes you shouldn't have to choose between low cost and full service. You deserve both. There's never a time limit or a script, just straight answers, practical guidance, and clear